253 DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. It's time to get up and get your day started. It's Sports 56 mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
Welcome in, everybody. Happy hump day to you. Lots to get to in the world of basketball with conference tournaments wrapping up, some beginning. It will all be over by Sunday when the selection will be announced by the committee. And next week, the NCAA tournament begins. The Grizzlies back in action tonight as they continue a homestand, a very busy one that will continue on Friday with Cleveland coming to town, the Cavaliers having a great season, and then Saturday, the Heat with the Tony Allen jersey retirement night. And a lot of NFL news as we continue to talk about players changing addresses with free agency on steroids. So we'll get to that as well on the program. We welcome you into Sports 56 Mornings. It is the Wednesday, March 12th, 2025 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers, your usual cast of characters. We're in the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure is where family and fun come together. And their first ever preseason pool spa patio event is going on right now with pools from $19.99, spas from $29.99, cold plunge and swim spas, price to move. And when you're there, register to win either a free pool, spa, or patio set. You can't beat that. Stop by today to sign up. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Yesterday was absolutely delightful weather-wise. Today, a carbon copy. 55 currently. It'll get up to 78 today. Bright sunshine. Then tonight, cloudy skies. And then in the overnight hours, we expect rain. In fact, we expect the possibility of thunderstorms. That chance of rain at about 70%. And then for your Thursday, after some morning rain, clearing, then the sun will pop out, and a high temperature on Thursday of 77 degrees. On the program today, Jerry Palm, who's now updating his bracketology at CBSSports.com daily. We'll get his latest. At 9:05, DeMichael Cole's going to be on tomorrow. We had to move him to tomorrow. And so Drew Hill will jump in at 9:05, Grizzlies beat writer for the Daily Memphian, who's also written about P.J. Haggerty of the Tigers. We'll talk to Drew about that. And then speaking of the Tigers basketball beat writer for the Daily Memphian, Parth Upadhyay at 9:25. We've got some exciting guests on tap for Thursday as well, and we'll tell you about that later on in the show. We'll take your calls and texts on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. The American Conference handed out their hardware yesterday, their awards. That happened after we wrapped up our show. We'll talk about that as well on the program. It's all coming up over the next 3 hours. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's happening with you?
Well, Drew Hill, he'll be on with us. Saw him last night. He was down at the Hustle game. And Elijah, your namesake has just killed the Hustle 2 straight games.
Oh, really?
Elijah Harkless. 40, a 40 spot on Sunday and then 44 yesterday. 84 points in 2 games, your namesake. So I'm not a fan of yours today. The name Elijah has got me in a bad mood right now.
Is he related to Mo Harkless?
I have no idea.
And where is Elijah Harkless from?
He finished his college career at UNLV. He was at Oklahoma, Cal State, Northridge, I believe is where he started.
There was an Elijah who played, I want to say at UAB, not that long ago. Because to me, it's not a common name. I mean, I hear Eli, which is not real common. And then when you became a part of our show, Elijah, I was like, you don't hear a lot of that around Elijahs. At least I don't.
Yeah, there's only one other Elijah floating around the NBA and G League right now that I know of. Elijah Hughes spent a short time with the Portland Trailblazers and Utah Jazz. So glad to see our namesake doing well. Unfortunately, it's against the Memphis Hustle, so sorry about that.
Sunday he took 30 shots to get his 40 points. Last night he did not take that, buddy. Last night he was Utah, and he just every big shot, every time they needed a bucket, dude just hit some huge. It was an awesome. Quite frankly, it was just an awesome performance last night.
Well, we talked about this on the show yesterday about players who don't make it to the NBA level, even though they may be incredible shooters because they're not great defenders. And that's why there's so many talented players that play around the world. Is this guy fit into that category?
Well, he's on a two-way deal with them. He can flat out score. I mean, he's averaging 27 a game. He's not a great defender, but he might have a chance. If he was a little bit bigger, he would certainly have a chance. But the dude is a flat out scorer. I mean, he wakes up in the morning getting buckets, and
nothing wrong with that.
It's funny because last night because of the scheduling with the Jazz being in town tonight. They were playing Salt Lake City, and so Sunday they didn't have their other two-way guys, Oscar Shibwe and Micah Potter. But last night, because, hey, we're already in town, let's throw these two guys down there as well. And we're like, oh, gosh. I mean, Oscar Shibwe gets basically every rebound. Like in G League, if the ball comes off the rim, it generally goes to Oscar Shibwe. He's averaging 18 rebounds a game.
Jeez.
He's led the league in rebounding. He led it last year. He's leading it by a mile this year. If you only counted his offensive rebounds, he'd be a top 10 rebounder in the league. And the Hustle did a great job. He only had 9 rebounds. Only second time this year he's been held under double-digit rebounds. He had 9 points, 9 rebounds. Did a great job against him. Potter had an okay game. He ended up with a double-double. But they just can't. There's no answer for Elijah Harkless. Just no answer. Dude had 84 points in 2 games.
It's pretty amazing the way it turns out sometimes for guys who are standouts in college. That guy, again, I don't even remember him in college, but like Shibwe was a great, great college basketball player. He may be a tweener, and when I say tweener, between G League and NBA. Guys like Luka Garza, who right now is playing consistently with Minnesota, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but Garza was another one of those guys you wondered, is he able to stay and stick in the NBA? Armando Bacot was an incredible player for North Carolina, is with the Hustle, and hasn't gotten his opportunity. Nobody's picked him up to play in the NBA, at least to give him a shot. There's not only bigs that fall into that category that are more old school bigs. The guy that played at Connecticut, they won back-to-back championships, but he was instrumental. I'm not sure if he played on both championship teams. Adamo
Sanogo?
So, yeah, that guy, he another one that falls into that category. You watch him play in college and you go, oh, my gosh, he's going to be a star in the NBA. I think he's with the Bulls organization. I don't even know. These guys are forgotten because they're tweeners. They just are too good for the G League, not good enough consistently to play in the NBA, and then eventually they'll go overseas and they'll make a lot of money. By the way, can you look up, it's Elijah Millsaps. It just popped in my head. Remember him, UAB? Mm-hmm. Elijah Millsaps. There's the Elijah. Oscar
Shibwe is a guy that will he's just not an NBA guy. He's just not big enough for he in the NBA needs to be he would have to be like a stretch. He really needs to be a 3 at his size, and he's just not that. Mm-hmm. He's a great rebounder. The dude is getting at Kentucky, like he grabbed every rebound there, like he is an unbelievable rebounder, but he's just not an NBA guy. Like
right.
He's just not big enough for the NBA to do what he does.
Exactly. When you are thrown in against some of those guys in the NBA, can you rebound that consistently? Because if you're a guy who can rebound 12, 13, 14 boards a game, they're going to find a spot for you. But if you can't do it against those type of players, well, you're never going to make it to that level. Look at Jalen Duren, what he's doing, the former Tiger. Jalen Duren's not the tallest guy in the world. He's just so strong. He finds the spots to be in, uses his body, uses his strength, and pounds the boards and scores with dunks and force and just the overall brute strength. And those guys, they find spots in the NBA. Jalen Duren has really turned out to be a hell of a player in the National Basketball Association. Okay. I want to get into college first, then we'll talk about the Grizzlies and a game they should win tonight against the Utah Jazz, who come in at 15-50. But last night, there were bids that were up for grabs at a few different locations for conference championship games, and other conferences, including the Big 12 and the ACC, got underway. Today, the American begins with 1 game, but the SEC begins with 4 games in Nashville at Bridgestone Arena. But I wanted to start with those damn odds makers in Vegas, they just know their stuff. Gonzaga, West Coast Conference Championship. By the way, Gonzaga, St. Mary's, if you didn't know, in the championship. Tell me if you heard that before. Gonzaga wins 58-51. So I was surprised yesterday when you told me Gonzaga was the favorite. They were, what, a 3.5-point favorite?
I believe that's what it was, yeah.
They win. They cover. They lost to St. Mary's twice during the regular season. So did all of a sudden Mark Few come up with something different and that led them to the victory? I don't know what it was. There's the old adage, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in the same year. And so this was the third game, and St. Mary's had won the first 2. Whatever reason, Vegas knew it, and they got it done, and they win by 7. So now it's interesting, and we'll talk to Jerry today. And I don't know where Jerry had Gonzaga and St. Mary's yesterday and where he may have them today. But I saw Kerry Miller talking about it, and Kerry will be on with us tomorrow. He has a bracketology for Bleacher Report. And I don't understand why there would be such movement. Kerry has them, if I'm not mistaken, like flip-flopping basically. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, Gonzaga goes to a top 7. St. Mary's drops from a 5 to a 6. So Gonzaga is still lower seeded than St. Mary's. But the fact that they moved up a whole seed line after having lost to them twice during the regular season. Is there more importance put on the conference championship game if those same 2 teams played during the regular season and was a different result? Is one game more important than the other? To me, they should all be the same.
But moving up a seed line could literally be moving up 1 spot in the overall grand scheme of things.
Right. If they were they're a top on the 8, and yeah, true.
I mean, look, it could be 1 out of 68 spots.
Right, but I wonder, and we could ask him tomorrow, who moved down? Like, what other result from yesterday changed that? Because there wasn't a lot of big, important games yesterday. The ACC and Big 12, as I said, just getting underway, these are the teams that aren't going to the NCAA tournament unless they win their conference tournament. So I don't know how the movement could affect a team jumping a line or dropping a line.
They could have passed somebody that didn't play. I mean, Gonzaga picked up a big win. They picked up a quad 1 win.
I guess so. It's just, to me, it looked like there was like more importance being put on that win for Gonzaga than the 2 wins that St. Mary's had against Gonzaga. But I guess that would the only way to tell with that would be if St. Mary's actually flip-flopped with Gonzaga completely and they changed and Gonzaga went ahead of St. Mary's. Because to me, again, you played them 3 times. They're all equal. I don't care if one's for the championship of the conference. It's 3 games. You beat them 2 out of 3 times. But whatever, the odds makers nailed it. We also had...
That game, by the way, the combined 1 for 31 from 3-point range.
Wow.
St. Mary's 0 for 16, and Gonzaga 1 for 15 from 3-point range. That's why you got the robust 58-51 final or whatever it was. Gonzaga only 4 turnovers, though, was the difference in that one. St. Mary's had 18 turnovers. So that was the difference in the game. But, yeah, that's some ugly shooting. The 1 for 31 combined from 3-point range.
I watched the last 10 minutes maybe, so I didn't even realize how bad that shooting was. But when I was watching it, they weren't making anything. And I did pick up on the announcers talking about the turnovers. At that point, St. Mary's had 16, so they added 2 more. But they looked awful. St. Mary's looked awful. Gonzaga looked athletic. It just wasn't the amount of talent that we're used to seeing from a Mark Few coach team at Gonzaga. St. Mary's looked like big, lumbering dudes that were terrible. Guys that would pay. One of their guards like drove the lane late. They're down 3. A runner, he hits the side of the backboard. It doesn't even touch rim. He's like 6 feet away. I'm like, this team? I know their resume says that they're good. I had never seen them this year. I didn't even see the previous 2 games they played against Gonzaga. But I watched, and I was not impressed whatsoever with St. Mary's. Maybe an anomaly from that team this year, but that's one I got to consider when we get our office pools together once the field is announced on Sunday and see what their matchups are, because they looked awful. They did not look athletic at all.
Mark Few now 20 West Coast Conference tournament titles.
Jeez.
22 for Gonzaga overall, 20 of them for Mark Few.
Hall of Fame coach. Randy Bennett's a good coach at St. Mary's, but Mark Few's a legend. So, also yesterday, we had I guess we could use the term Cinderella, the Cinderella story. Unfortunately, it didn't happen for Delaware. They were close. But St. Francis, a sub-500 team, wins the Northeast Conference, and they earn their way into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, by scoring, 46 points?
It was not many. Where is this? I don't even know.
They scored 46, if I remember.
46-43 over Central Connecticut State.
That's some good basketball right there.
Yeah, by the way, St. Francis of Pennsylvania, not to be confused with St. Francis of New York, I believe. But they are in. Bobby Morris back in, beat Youngstown State 89-78 in the Horizon League Championship. And as I mentioned, Delaware loses to UNC Wilmington. That's in the Colonial Athletic Association Championship. So UNC Wilmington finds their way back in the NCAA tournament. The ACC and Big 12, as I mentioned, got underway.
I was hoping that we could get, if Delaware had won at under 500, St. Francis under 500, trying to get my SIUE Cougars out of Dayton. Need more of these under 500 Cinderella stories. I'm trying to get SIUE to be in the bracket and out of Dayton.
And I know there are some that don't like this, but to me, this is part of the tradition of March Madness, is to watch some of these underdogs, these Cinderellas, if you will. They're not going to win it all, but just to have their moment, maybe spring a huge upset in the tournament, this is what makes it fun. And this is what brings in a lot of people that are not staunch basketball fans, or maybe even staunch basketball fans. Or sports fans, rather. They dive into it because the office pool's going around. They throw their $5 in and they watch, and they keep up with everything that's going on. Whether or not they enjoy it, who knows? But I just think it's great to have these type of stories. So, with the bigger conferences, it's less intriguing, but it is if it's a big upset. If some team that is not expected to be in the field gets in, that means another team is going to find their way to the NIT because somebody has to replace that other team that gets in. And so in the Big 12 and the ACC's had a horrible year overall, despite a chance to win it all with Duke. You have still some Cinderellas. You have some teams that are not expected to be in the field that if they win that conference tournament, they get in as an AQ. The SEC, it's a couple of teams. It's LSU, it's South Carolina. Everybody else is either getting in or right there with maybe one win in the tournament will stamp their ticket. But let's begin with the ACC and the Big 12 from yesterday. In the ACC, there were 3 games. Syracuse beat Florida State 66-62, so that wraps it up for Leonard Hamilton. It was Notre Dame edging Pitt 55-54. And then in a really good game, double overtime, Cal beat Virginia Tech 82-73. And Katie barred the door when Cal and Virginia Tech get together for basketball. That's storied history.
Yeah, it's still weird. The ACC just is weird. When I see Cal in the ACC, I still get very confused. I just don't. I'm like, what am I watching right now? This just doesn't process in my brain.
Do you have to think about it for a second to remember what conference they're in? Elijah, you got that young brain. It's probably second nature to you. I have to think, wait, Cal, what conference? Oh, they're in the ACC. That's right.
Almost every single time.
So you too? Yeah, I'm like, man, oh, man. Oh, that's right. They're in the ACC.
So today we get Cal Stanford, but in the ACC.
Oh, wow. How about that?
Think about that. You're going to be watching Cal Stanford. You have to go, Yeah, okay, this is an ACC tournament game. Somehow I'm watching Cal Stanford play an ACC tournament game.
The band is on the court. The band is on the court.
By the way, David texted in, and I didn't even know that. He said, no shout out for John Camden, the former Tiger great who plays for Delaware and has been on fire lately.
Yes.
I had no idea that John Camden was playing for Delaware.
The only reason I knew that was Munns had tweeted something out the other day. He's their leading scorer. And John Camden is...
He had 12 last night.
John, you know who had a good night last night for Bryant? Starter Earl Timberlake with 21 points. I believe he shared team high honors as Bryant won in the first round, was it? Let me see. Bryant won they won in the semis of the America East playoffs. They beat University of Albany 91-78. So Bryant, I'm not sure what seed they are in the America East. Another win, they're in. That means Earl Timberlake's in the NCAA tournament. Earl Timberlake. I liked Earl Timberlake. I thought that was a disappointment, his short tenure at Memphis. Now, Camden, I don't think ever got his opportunity, and he left. And that's one I think that got away. John Camden was a shooter, and I'm glad he's doing well. And it's unfortunate that the Delaware Blue Hens fell just short. Thank you for that text on John Camden. The Big 12, they had 4 games to get their tournament underway yesterday. Kansas State beat Arizona State 71-66. However, there was a story that came out that Bobby Hurley is going to come back as the Sun Devils head coach. There was the thought that he may be let go. Cincinnati beat Oklahoma State 87-68. Colorado edged Texas Christian 69-67. Sorry, Desmond Bain. And UCF beat Utah 87-72. So while UCF and Cincinnati are far from powers in basketball, Cincinnati once was, both coming from the American, both getting wins in their first round, and we know what Houston is, arguably the best team in the Big 12. Some would say there's no argument, one of the top teams in the nation. So those teams have fared well since coming over just several years ago from the American Conference. But there you go. That's the first day in the Big 12.
Well, they are the 13th and 14th seeds, so it's not they haven't fared that well.
No, I mean, but relative, just that they won their first round games. That's better than going home after day number 1. Speaking of going home, one team will go home from the American today. There is only one game. It'll be a noon tip or just after noon. Now, this game is not at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. All the other games are. This game is being played at the Pit in Denton. That's North Texas's home. But it's Charlotte, the 13 seed, and Rice, the 12 seed. So all eyes around the nation.
Here's a little. Here's a little. Just
Denton.
Don't take everybody to the conference tournament. Leave one team at home. It's ridiculous to play one game today. Just leave one. Whoever finishes last, sorry, you don't make the conference tournament.
Okay, I'm fine with that, but some would say the opposite. Why leave one at home? Take them all. It's strange you have an odd number.
Because it causes you to have to get like staff and things to work a basketball game today that shouldn't be played.
Well, we could ask Tim Pernetti. He's going to be joining us on the program tomorrow, the commissioner of the American at 8:05. We'll ask him about that. We'll ask him about the bids for the American and the host city for next year. We know that the bids are up for grabs, and Memphis has put in a very solid bid, as we already knew, but Tim Duncan confirmed that yesterday. Maybe Tim Pernetti will break some news with us tomorrow. I know they've had their meetings, their AD meetings going on. I think he said there were some meetings today because we were going to originally have them on today. So I believe maybe they'll have that news by the time Tim joins us on the show tomorrow. But, yeah, I mean, I understand that. Isn't it baseball, some of the leagues don't bring all their teams to the tournament. I know in baseball.
In basketball, there are leagues that don't bring everybody to the tournament. You don't have to. No law says you have to get to the conference tournament.
Any of the power conferences, they take all of them, don't they?
The ACC does not, right? I believe the ACC.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Miami is not playing.
Yeah, there were only 3 games yesterday.
Let's see. They take.
I think it's NC State's the other team.
Yeah. Boston? Yeah, Boston College is not in, right? Either. Yeah, so they leave 3 at home.
Wow. No,
Right? Boston College didn't play yesterday. Did
no,
they?
Boston College did not play.
So they leave 3 at home.
Boston College, Miami, NC State. We know that they fired their head coach after they went to the Final Four last year. Keats, they ended up not going to the ACC tournament in a year that the ACC was horrible. Yet he still did not deserve to lose his job, in my opinion.
But yeah, I mean, it's who. I just don't see.
This guy texted the Big Ten also doesn't take all their teams. ACC, Big Ten don't take all their teams. But yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. I got no problem if they don't take all their teams. But the American leave one team out. Baseball, I think.
Yes, other than playing
Does baseball
one game?
leave one team
Yes.
out too? I think they're all in baseball now. But I think it's going back and forth. It's very confusing. But yeah, I mean, who cares? Look, the American Conference, they're the ones that have to supply the people to work the game. So again, that's something we can ask Tim when he joins us tomorrow. When we come back, it's about the SEC. The SEC is underway, and it's in years past, maybe you had some really bad teams or below average teams that played on day one and nobody gave much mind to it. Well, it's a little bit different now. Even the bottom of the SEC are very capable teams. And we got 4 games starting at noon today. We will talk about that on the program. We'll take your calls and texts on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. Then we'll talk postseason awards that were handed out yesterday in the American Conference. And Memphis was celebrating because they heard their names called a lot yesterday on the program. Or not on the program, but from the American Conference. We didn't get a chance to talk about it on the program because it happened after we were off the air. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll get into the Grizzlies as well, as the Grizzlies get set to host the Utah Jazz tonight at FedEx Forum. Just underway on a hump day. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Are you getting the lowest possible rate on your mortgage? At Southern Security, we offer low rates, flexible terms, no PMI, and unbeatable service. Refinance your current mortgage with the Mid-South's best mortgage lender. For more information, visit us online at southernsecurity.org or call us at 901-452-7900. Southern Security is an equal housing lender. Southern Security is a proud supporter of University of Memphis Athletics. Southern Security, your home team credit, federally insured by NCUA.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 new airlines and the largest patch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Welcome to Fat Larry's in Bartlett. Come in today for award-winning barbecue and so much more. Catfish, steak burgers, chicken, certified prime Angus beef steaks, along with all the sides, homemade rolls, delicious desserts, beer, and service that is out of this world. Fat Larry's cooks everything made to order just for you. Dine in or order online at fatlarrys.com. We're the best barbecue, southern cooking, and friendly atmosphere in town. Family owned and proud of it. Fat Larry's, conveniently located at 7537 Highway 70, just west of Appleton.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church located
brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's got a little bit busier out here on 385 Billmores Parkway coming inbound out of Collierville. Watching it build already up through the Midtown area on 240 northbound at Lamar. It seems to have picked up on I-40 at Watkins near that 101 connector. Weimer's Jewelry, conveniently located 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 morning. On Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
I don't know why it sounds strange to me, but taking an odd number to the tournament, to me, I guess I like things being even, but you have 18 teams in the ACC, so NC State, Boston College, Miami are not in the men's tournament, so that means 15 teams are, okay? And then the Big Ten, we looked that up, and Elijah, who's not in the Big Ten tournament?
Nebraska, Penn State, and Washington are all not in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, Nebraska, they had a 5-way tie for that, I guess, that final spot of being left out, and Nebraska lost that tiebreaker.
See, that's kind of BS, but that is also 18 teams, minus 3, taking 15 teams. Big Ten's not like they're hemorrhaging money. They have money to burn. Why don't you bring all 18 teams? And I'm one of the guys that always says, everybody gets a little trophy in the orange wedges. I don't like that, but this is just, you've earned your way into the tournament. The tournament is a second opportunity in a college basketball season to get to your ultimate goal of making the NCAA tournament. Why wouldn't everybody not have a shot at that?
They did.
Well, yes, but another shot.
They just didn't play well enough during the regular season to get there.
I know, but some of the conferences bring everybody. And some don't.
The reason they don't bring 18? Because they'd have to have a day with one game.
Well, again, they shouldn't be concerned about money. Putting on a tournament is not a problem for the Big Ten, even for the ACC, any of these power conferences. So then Brett Yormark yesterday, the Big 12 commissioner, said he is in favor of expanding the men's NCAA tournament to 76 teams. This guy's off his rocker, but it probably will happen. So if you're going to have 76 teams, are we going to just continue to have conferences not bring teams to their conference tournament and just have, you lose in the first round, you're in. We got 76 teams going to the NCAA tournament. That's not a problem. I don't know if that would mean that everybody would go now, but I think if you're going to expand...
Why should it matter? That has no effect on the teams that are terrible in conference play.
I know it doesn't, but it's an additional 8 teams, right? 68, add 8. That's 8 more teams. That's a lot of teams. Right now, you're looking at not too many teams on the bubble that you would say, oh, they absolutely have to be in the NCAA tournament. That they're, even though on Selection Sunday, the broadcast team on CBS, and then us as individuals will all come up with the snubbed teams, right? The all snubbed teams, which ones should have been in. But hell, 76. I mean, it's ridiculous. The NCAA tournament is perfect now. It's absolutely a masterpiece. Don't screw with it. Don't mess around with it, in my opinion. All right. So we'll see if it goes to 76 or another number, if it's expanded at all. The SEC tournament, Bridgestone Arena, Nashville, begins at noon today. Number 16, South Carolina. Number 9, Arkansas. We made some picks yesterday for the first day. Then you have number 13, Texas, and number 12, Vanderbilt. The night session, number 15, LSU, and number 10, Mississippi State. And then number 14, Oklahoma, and number 11, Georgia. The SEC is having an outstanding season. And I don't think I've ever seen it where basically top to bottom, they're all really good teams. South Carolina may be 16, the 16th seed. They bring everybody to this tournament. And yet a very capable team. Who knows if they were in a different conference, how well they could have played in those conferences to make it to the NCAA tournament. But the only way they're getting in is to win the SEC tournament. But even these teams that are seated low, from 12 to 16, are all capable. And then you have teams like Vanderbilt, who have beaten Tennessee, and they beat Alabama at home as well. They beat
Tennessee,
Kentucky.
They beat Kentucky and Tennessee. They did not beat Alabama.
So, but they have some big wins. Now, normally down the block at Memorial Gymnasium, down the block from Bridgestone. But that's a really good team at number 12. And Mississippi State's playing on day one. They faded at the end a bit, but they're an NCAA tournament team. They were ranked up until this past week. You have Georgia, up and down, a little bit up and down this year, but very, very solid. You have Arkansas playing on day one. As much talent as there is on a roster in this tournament. Yet, we know what happened with them, the slow start, strong finish. We'll see where they go. Texas has all kinds of talent. They've been a bit of a disappointment. But again, playing in a different conference, where would they be? Where would LSU be? Where would South Carolina be? So it's going to be nonstop action from day one. And I would not be shocked to see surprises galore. We saw a wild last week of the regular season in the SEC. I think it can certainly continue this week in Nashville.
On KenPom.com, he has 3 of the 4 games today at the SEC tournament. He has one as a 1-point game, one as a 2-point game, one as a 4-point game. And then the Mississippi State LSU game he has as a 7-point game. So if his stuff is accurate, even on day one, some very close games at the SEC tournament.
Yeah, in Vegas, they have it like this. Arkansas, 4.5-point favorite. Vanderbilt, 2.5-point favorite in their game. Mississippi State, an 8.5-point favorite. And Georgia, a 3.5-point favorite. So Ole Miss awaits the winner of South Carolina and Arkansas, and that will be the opening game tomorrow. Texas A&M will play the winner of Texas and Vanderbilt. Missouri tomorrow night in the early session at 6 o'clock, or the first game of the evening session, 6 o'clock. They will play the winner of LSU and Mississippi State. And then Kentucky awaits the Oklahoma-Georgia winner, final game tomorrow night. Ole Miss, do you remember off the top of your head how they fared against Arkansas and South Carolina?
They Arkansas they beat. South Carolina they beat South Carolina. So South Carolina was the game they should have lost, but they were able to rally down the stretch, if I remember correctly. And I know they won the game. I think they were the one. That was the one they were trailing. One of the many games that South Carolina led for a majority of the game and then couldn't hold on. But they beat. And I think they played. I think they only played both of those. They only played once and won both of them.
Mentioned the one game that's going on in Denton today in the American Conference. The scene shifts to Fort Worth for tomorrow, and 4 games on tap, including South Florida, Wichita State. That's the one that Tigers fans will have their eyes on because that's who Memphis draws on Friday in the Tigers quarterfinal round matchup at noon. South Florida, a team they beat twice. Wichita State, a team they split with. So one of their 2 losses this season having come to the Shockers. Wichita State, a 3.5-point favorite. That'll tip at 11:30 tomorrow morning. And then you have the winner of the game today between Charlotte and Rice to take on Florida Atlantic. Then Tulsa and Temple. Temple, a 2.5-point favorite. And then UTSA and East Carolina. East Carolina is a 3.5-point favorite. Yesterday, the Memphis Tigers, they didn't quite sweep all the awards, but they did pretty darn well with the postseason hardware handed out by the American Conference. As I said, it would have been a crime if Penny Hardaway did not win Coach of the Year, and he did. And the video that was on social media yesterday from the university was really, really cool, with the players finding out what they had been awarded and who was on the first team all-conference and things of that nature. And then Penny Hardaway, the last thing to be announced, and the players just jumping around and hugging them, and ended up being a scrum, a very joyous scrum, and Penny wins Coach of the Year. It's just a great turnaround. Penny Hardaway went from, as he said on this show several times now, he blamed himself for last year. He said he let down the city. He didn't say we, he said he. He changed as a coach. He changed, I think, his whole philosophy. It went from probably the lowest of lows in, even though I know there's been some rocky road along the way with the Wiseman situation and the NCAA, and I get it. I understand the disappointment of losing that game against Florida Atlantic in the NCAA tournament. I know there's been pitfalls along the way. But last year it looked like you can't get much lower. They're in 7th place in the American Conference. They get knocked out early in the tournament after what they did in the non-conference. Discombobulated, implosion, and then here's some moves that were made with the coaching staff. What's going to happen? Penny's not talking after. This is bad. And then all of a sudden, quietly, he figured it out, put together this team. Nobody had really high expectations because we all didn't really know. And this team gelled from the beginning. Went out there to Hawaii, made a statement early. Not a deep team, but a talented team. And then went 16-2 in the conference. So no question that guy deserved the Coach of the Year, and I'm glad he won it.
Certainly well-deserved. No surprise that the Tigers would dominate the awards. They should, obviously, with the year they had compared to the rest of this conference. And so good for Penny, good for P.J. Haggerty, Dane Danger, everybody.
So the Player of the Year, P.J. Haggerty, again, no surprise. The Newcomer of the Year, Dane Danger. The all-newcomer team, Dane Danger, was joined by Tyrese Hunter. Also on that team was Jamal Mashburn Jr., despite missing a bunch of games here lately for Temple. The all-AAC first team, Danger, Haggerty, and Tyrese Hunter. We said yesterday we thought Danger, Haggerty first team, probably Hunter second. But when you think about it, sure, why not? I just didn't think they put 3 Tigers on the first team.
Well,
although there were 10 players.
If you're going to tell me there was going to be 10 players, then yes, I would have said first team. I thought they would actually do 5 players like
normal.
How plays basketball. And what they've done in the past is 3 5-man teams. But yes, so second team, which would have been numbers 6 through 10.
Didn't the SEC used to do like 9 guys, 8 guys?
SEC used to do 8.
Yeah, and we always complained about that too. So, yeah, I was surprised when I saw that they had 2 10-player teams as opposed to 3 5-player teams. And then you had Lindeberg, Feltman, Walker from East Carolina was on the team, and Wright was on the team from North Texas, and Lorient, and Brumbaugh from Tulane, and Bell from Wichita State. These guys were all good players, but Memphis dominated. Then you had P.J. Haggerty yesterday saying...
It does explain why they bring everybody to the conference tournament when you're handing out 10 first-team all-conference guys.
They didn't do this in the past, so I wonder if this was something that Tim Pernetti did. I can't imagine. He's got more important things to do, but we can ask him. He's, again, going to be on the show tomorrow at 8:05. But yesterday, P.J. Haggerty, talking about his award, said that he thought that Colby Rogers and Musa Cisse, I think. I don't think he mentioned Nicholas Jourdain, but he said they got snubbed. But maybe he was talking about Rogers for second team and then Cisse maybe for defensive player of the year or something like that. So I don't know if that's what he meant. Because when I just saw the bold statement that somebody had tweeted it out, that he said those 2 got snubbed, I'm thinking, snubbed from the first or the second team? Well, Jourdain was a starter all year long. I would think that maybe he would have a better chance than Musa to be on that team, but maybe he's talking about Musa as a – who got that? Was that Lindenberg?
Yeah.
He's Defensive Player of the Year. So it's probably what he's talking about, but I don't know that for sure. But, yeah, I don't think there's any snubs, in my opinion, when you look at three guys, part of that 10-man first team, one the Player of the Year, one the Newcomer of the Year, and then the Coach of the Year. Memphis deserved all that hardware, and they got all that hardware. So they didn't. I don't think they got snubbed whatsoever.
They should have handed out an 11th Man of the Year for the 6th Man of the Year.
Why are you picking on the American? Again, the SEC.
Because it's dumb.
They had 8 players on their first team.
And that was dumb then.
We always said that.
Exactly. So why would this not be dumb? This is 2 more.
What did they do the other day, the SEC?
Dumb.
With their, I didn't see their.
They gave out 5-man teams like they're supposed to do.
Yeah, so I wonder why they changed. I wonder why they changed. I wonder why the American changed. Again, 5 players, first team. You don't have to do a third team. I don't care. 5 players in your first team, 5 players in your second team. That's it. It's pretty simple. I don't know why it's so complicated.
Why are you picking on the American?
No, but I mean, you're making it. This is the first time they've done that, and the SEC for years has done
and
that.
I made fun of the SEC every time. I made fun of the American.
I made fun of it every time, every single time.
So why don't you make fun of the American?
It is. It's stupid.
Okay, then I'm not picking on the American.
I'll say that to Tim Pernetti. I'm not. I don't mean it when I say that. I'm just kidding. But Tim Pernetti, I'll tell him tomorrow. I go, why do you have 10 players on the first team? That's just dumb. Now, again, Tyrese Hunter, he's on the first team. Would he have been? I don't think so. I don't think he's one of the top 5. But because they expanded it to 10, he's on the first team. It's just the way we are today. I don't know. We don't like to hurt people's feelings and the wussification of America. That's what it is. But anyway, good for Memphis. Congratulations to them for taking home a lot of the hardware. And now they got to get the job done. All the celebration is over. They celebrated Friday night with the regular season outright championship. They celebrated yesterday with all the postseason awards. Now they're on a mission. They got to win the conference tournament. Again, they're going to the NCAA either way, but it would be egg in their face if they don't get it done. So 3 games in 3 days, cut down the nets, and then hopefully get the benefit of the doubt from the committee, which will not happen. Get a good draw, and then make your run. But whatever the draw is, make some noise in the NCAA tournament. All right, speaking of basketball, take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis, a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant, objective feedback with hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. They have the 50,000-square-foot facility in Cordova. They have the original in Collierville. You can become a member at either or both of the locations. And as I always say, the best bet for you is to go there, check it out, have them give you a tour of the facilities, try it out, and then become a member. And you can do so month to month. You cannot beat it. Join for a month. If you don't like it at the end of the month, all right, you're in for whatever it is for the month cost. And they even have actual, even lower costs than monthly. They'll have where you can go 4 times in a month or 5 times in a month. They have different packages for you to choose from. But I would say join for a month. If you don't like it, okay, then I was wrong. Move on. But I'm telling you, you're going to fall in love with it. You're going to become a better all-around basketball player. You're going to become a better shooter. You have great coaching there. You have the analytics to back it up and the most modern technology that you could ask for to become a better basketball player. Shoot 360 Memphis. There is nothing like it. Join today. Go online to Shoot 360 Memphis, or again, stop by either of their locations in Collierville or Cordova, or call them. In Collierville, it's 901-316-5500. In Cordova, 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. It's called Shoot 360 Memphis. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Case IH is a proud supporter of the Mississippi Farm Bureau, and thanks to
Andy Wise here. For 6 years, I've endorsed Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South as the standard in affordable luxury. Now get this. Pella just got more affordable. 12 months, no interest, no payments on what Consumer Reports has rated the highest quality windows on the planet, plus 50% off installation. That includes consumer guarantees no other window company will ever match. You have my word. You'll make the wise choice when you choose Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South.
It's putt-putt time. The weather's getting right for a little time outside. Putt-Putt Golf and Games Driving Range is a good place to be. At Putt-Putt Driving Range, $10 gets you a small bucket of balls, use of the chip and putting greens, and toy tracer. Even senior rates available. Putt-Putt Golf and Games Driving Range. 54 Summer Avenue. Putt-Putt Driving Range. 901-386-2992. Putt-Putt Driving Range. It's putt-putt time.
To bracelets and gemstones to watches. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar. Online at GaddisJewelers.com and Instagram at Gaddis Jewelers. Say I do at James Gaddis Jewelers.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings. Good morning on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
There will be 3 bids handed out today in college basketball. Southland Conference, Lamar versus McNeese, Will Wade and company, trying to get into the NCAA tournament.
Will Will Wade be the coach there next year, or will he be at a different place?
Somebody will hire him.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
You got in the Big Sky, Montana against Northern Colorado. And then interesting matchup in the Patriot League because you got Navy, who is in football, obviously a member of the American Conference. In the Patriot League championship game, it is Navy versus American.
Yeah.
So you got Navy against a conference, their actual conference.
Well,
maybe if Navy gets in, maybe the American could claim multiple bids to the NCAA tournament.
Well, one, you'll need to wave the red, white, and blue. Old Glory, watching that game. And number 2, I am rooting so hard for Navy, for our good friend, my real good friend, Pete Medhurst, who we lost this past year, who was the voice of Navy. And this would be just an incredible accomplishment to have Navy go to the NCAA tournament in honor of Pete. So I'm rooting for Navy. I hope they can get the job done. But, yeah, very, very unique there, Navy and American, right? A red, white, and blue day for that matchup. We mentioned little St. Francis getting into the NCAA tournament. St. Francis of Pennsylvania becoming a sub-500 team. It's the first and maybe the only when it's all said and done. Their population in Loretto, Pennsylvania, where they're located, is 1,168. Their NIL budget is 0, according to Matt Norlander. And that's, again, why I love March Madness.
Navy, by the way, with a win, they would become another one with a under 500 record, making the NCAA tournament. Navy is at 15-18. So
What is American?
Getting my SIUE Cougars out of Dayton, possibly.
What is American, by the way, record-wise?
American is 21-12.
Ooh,
they are
okay.
a 3.5-point favorite in this game. You mentioned it's actually the America East tournament where Bryant got the win last night to advance. Mm-hmm. Do they play the tournament at home courts? Because they don't play the championship game till Saturday.
Really?
They had the semifinals last night. The championship game is on Saturday. So I don't know if they play at home floors or what. I mean, they have to. There's no way they're doing it at one site. You guys just got to sit here for a few days.
Well, the circus is coming to the arena.
And then we'll play a championship game. So you guys go back to your hotel, spend the rest of the week there, do what you got to do, and then Saturday we'll reconvene and we'll play a championship game. So I guess they just play it on home floor.
It has to be, right? And go home. The circus is going to. Ringling Brothers is here for a couple of days. Then we'll get the arena set up for basketball again and finish it up.
I wonder how many conference tournaments play on home floors.
I have no idea.
I mean, obviously, some of these these small conferences, like it's not worth. Going to a neutral site, you're not going to draw any fans there,
right?
So I don't know. I've never actually really looked at it. I wonder how many do actually play conference tournaments at home floors throughout the tournament.
That's why I don't know. I've probably heard the numbers in previous years, but I don't recall them of what type of attendance they're getting at the American Conference Tournament. You're in Texas. You have 3 Texas teams. Is that correct? You have Rice. You have North Texas. And who am I missing?
UTSA.
And UTSA. So now, Texas is a huge state, geographically, mind you. I understand that. But easily accessible for those schools right there in your state, better than Temple in Philadelphia or East Carolina and Greenville. But I don't know what the attendance is. I don't know from those 3 particular schools. That's why they put it up for bids. I think there's a chance to...
Well, they put it up for bid because SMU left the conference. It made a lot more sense when SMU was in the conference.
Well, also their headquarters is there now. It used to be in Rhode Island. Now it's there. So it also makes sense because the headquarters is there. So I don't think they were just because SMU was there. It's because their headquarters was there too. But it makes sense now to put it up for bids, which they have done. But it makes perfect sense for Memphis to be... Now, why Memphis wants it? Can they make money off it? I don't know. I don't know if I would think it was a money loser. But yes, Memphis they are eager. They've done it. I think they're going to win the bid. I think it belongs in Memphis because Memphis brings the most fans. Who else is even close? Maybe when it was there, SMU did because they were right there. But I don't even think, how many people are coming from even North Texas? And it's right there. Memphis will bring a lot of fans down there this week. But Memphis would have the most fans. Now, granted, those other games that Memphis is not playing in, there's nobody there. But you could say that for a lot of the tournaments. Not for the SEC, but you could say that for a lot of the tournaments, that when the big names aren't playing, then the attendance is scarce. All right, when we come back, we will open up hour 2 talking Grizzlies who are back in action against the Jazz. Some bad news for Tiger Woods on his try to come back and get to playing again. It has been derailed. We'll give you that information if you haven't heard that yet. And then more NFL free agency news. We'll be joined by Jerry Palm at 8:25. You're tuned into Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Top Gun is the largest indoor arena in the Mid-South. The size is enormous. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way street and our alley, we also want to make it easy for people to get to doors. You can now park in our alley right at our front door, put your flashers on. People also forget that we take reservations for 6 or more. And we have a wonderful party room upstairs that can accommodate people for rehearsal dinners, birthday parties, reunions, graduations. Our rooms seat between 25 and 275 people. And everything at the rendezvous can be packed to go. But we also do catering. See our menu online, and we can even deliver for groups of 15 or more. So if you have any questions, always feel free to call us at the rendezvous because we answer our phone ourselves. You'll never hear. Please listen carefully for our menu on the screen. Press 1 for reservations, press 2 for hours, press 3 for catering, or if you know your party's 9-digit extension number and the first 3 letters of the mother's maiden name, dial it now. Come see us at the rendezvous. Since 1948, the rendezvous. The first ever preseason pool spa patio event is going on now at Family Leisure for the first time ever. Unbelievable savings. You want a pool? They're starting at just $19.99. How about a spa? They're starting at just $29.99. Patio furniture sets are starting at $7.99. Cold plunges and swim spas are just, well, I can't even say those prices. But I will say, they're priced to move. There are so many deals going on right now during the first ever preseason pool spa and patio event. You've got to come in and see the savings for yourself. But wait, there's more. You can register to win either a free pool, a spa, or a patio set. Yes, a free pool, spa, or patio set. Just stop by Family Leisure to sign up. This is a first time ever preseason pool, spa, patio event. It's going on right now at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, 81 I-40. Family fun, come together.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Gunslinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Gunslinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Gunslinger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit GunslingerGlass.com. Gunslinger Glass.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's the MPD still clearing away a couple of wrecks we had out here earlier. A little bit busier than it was in the Midtown area on I-40, especially around Danny Thomas, as traffic starts to increase. Also on I-40 at Chelsea, it's picked up even more at 385 Billmore Parkway, working your way inbound, getting on that ramp to 240. Weimer's Jewelry, serving Memphis now for what? Over 40 years, no matter what the occasion is. You'll save a lot of money at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, with Dave Woloshin, weekday mornings from 10 to 11.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:04 the time, hour 2 here on Sports 56 Mornings, the Wednesday, March 12th, 2025 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, their first ever preseason pool, spa, patio event going on right now at 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Currently 55 degrees, going to get up to 78 today. It'll be a carbon copy of what we saw yesterday with abundant sunshine. Then tonight, it'll cloud up, and overnight, we're looking at storms, some thunderstorms, about a 70% chance of precipitation with a low of 59. And then Thursday, after some early morning rain, it will clear up. The sun will come out. We'll get a high temperature of 76 degrees. Coming up later on in the hour, Jerry Palm at 8:25 with his latest bracketology. Drew Hill at 9:05 will join us to talk some Grizzlies and a little bit of Tigers as well, as he's written about P.J. Haggerty, the American Conference Player of the Year, and then more on the Tigers with the Tigers beat writer for the Daily Memphian, Parth Upadhyay. It's all coming up on the show today. If you weren't with us in hour number 1, we talked plenty of college basketball, all the tournaments that are going on as we get the SEC cranked up today. The American Conference begins with the one game today with Charlotte and Rice. Memphis cleaned up yesterday as far as postseason American Conference awards are concerned, so we dove into that as well. The Grizzlies tonight will be in action against the Utah Jazz. The Jazz at 15-50. The Grizzlies have now won 3 straight, 41-24, and they're doing exactly what I hoped they would do, and what they should be doing is taking care of business against these bad to mediocre teams. Phoenix is above average, but certainly a little bit discombobulated. They won that game, although it was very hairy, winning in the end. And tonight with the chance to make it 4 straight wins before a tough task Friday against Cleveland. Then Saturday, the Tony Allen jersey retirement game as they'll take on the Miami Heat. But tonight should be, I would hope, an easy night, although we know these games here, especially in Memphis, have come down to the wire and then some.
Yeah, you would hope that a game against the tanking Jazz would not be one of those that you have to avoid a last-second shot to try and win. Jazz Markkanen is questionable. So is Jordan Clarkson for this game. Keontae George is doubtful for this game. So this is especially if Markkanen and Clarkson end up not playing. I mean, goodness, this is a Jazz team that you should beat up on. It's actually funny because I didn't realize just kind of how the Jazz are so terrible. You don't think about them, and obviously they're never on national television. But a bunch of their guys' team came to the Hustle game last night.
Oh, did they really?
They're like, all right, we're gonna show them on camera, and then we're like, okay, I gotta try and figure out who these people are. Like, I don't know. Like, they're an anonymous team. Like, you look, I'm like, I picked out. I was like, that's Keontae George, and I was like, because
you should know Walker Kessler. Was he there?
He wasn't there. Markkanen wasn't there. I'm like, Cody Williams, I did recognize once I saw his face, and I'm like, but I was like, man, it's not easy picking this team out of a lineup. This is an anonymous bunch they've got with Utah right now.
You just say, hey, a bunch of the Jazz are here. Karl Malone, there's John Stockton. You know who's playing really well? And the reason I know this is because I'll play this guy for a double-double. When Kessler's out, they start Kyle Filipowski. He's a rookie, and all the talk was Donovan Clingan or Zach Edey or who's the guy with Miami that was debated, the big?
Kel'el Ware.
Oh.
Yeah, Ware. What about Filipowski? Are you watching this guy play? He's putting up a bunch of double-doubles. He's knocking down threes.
I am not watching the Jazz play, no.
Okay. Well, if you bet him for a double-double, you watch.
I got better things to do with my life than watch
I understand.
the Jazz.
I understand. But Filipowski is very quietly having a good year, and he doesn't always get the opportunities because Kessler, it seems like he plays every other game.
And
I would imagine Kessler's playing tonight.
I've had my fill of Duke white guys over the last few days.
Easy now. Nothing wrong with whites. They're okay.
Wojciechowski is the head coach of their G League team. Just had Grayson Allen and Plumlee the other night. Filipowski tonight. I don't need any more of the annoying Duke white guys in my life. Although Filipowski, I actually wasn't even one of the... He does not qualify on my list of annoying Duke white guys. The reason guys haven't been in that category, it's all the old guys. Wojo is one of the worst.
Well, it was Hurley. It was Leitner.
Grayson Allen definitely qualifies, but he's not top. He's not top of the list, but he certainly qualifies.
Well, Memphians didn't mind when he was part of the Grizzlies, but now he's gone. He's with the Suns. Just in town the other night when they announced Grayson Allen coming in from the bench, entering the game for the Grizzlies, Grayson Allen, you could hear a pin drop.
We did our list. Who are your top 4 Duke annoying players?
Well, Leitner, who wanted to be a player owner for the Grizzlies.
Hurley, Redick, and Wojo.
I'd go. Grayson Allen's definitely one of them because he was the trip meister. Definitely Leitner. Bobby Hurley, who I liked because he's from Jersey, so he wasn't as annoying to me, but I can understand because he's going up against Maryland when Maryland was part of the ACC. And then it wouldn't be Woj, it would be Redick. That would be my 4. And then Grant Hill. I'm kidding.
There was actually a lot of people that said Shane Battier, which I was surprised by. I didn't hate Battier at Duke.
He was such a good player.
I didn't really have a problem with Battier at Duke.
Yeah, but I could see where people were annoyed by Battier. I absolutely could see that.
The annoying guys are always it's the white guys who play too hard.
The Grizzlies tonight will be without Jaren Jackson Jr. once again and Santi Aldama. A little bit of concern about that calf, right? This isn't one of those, they left him out of the game. Just it's load management. They're saying it's a calf injury. He's missed several games now. Since he opened his mouth, basically, and I didn't mind him doing that, he's been out with the calf. And Tripp, hopefully, will be back sooner than later. He continues to be week to week. Questionable, Zach Edey and Brandon Clark. So that means Kennard is not on the list. He'll be back. Who else that missed the other night?
Vince
Williams. Yeah, that was definitely load management because of him coming back from injury. But you think, by now, aren't you back in the fold where you can play 2 nights in a row? Anyway, that's the situation tonight. The Grizzlies should be taking care of business against the Utah Jazz. If not, that's an issue. And when you take a quick gander at the Western Conference standings, you have Denver in second by a game over the Lakers and the Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies and the Lakers are separated by percentage points. Lakers right now technically in third, Grizzlies fourth. And they're a game up on the Rockets, who are in fifth. Then you go 3 more back to the Warriors in sixth. Then Minnesota's the first team out of the playoffs and the first team in the play-in. They are half behind the Warriors, a half a game behind the Warriors. So still, with approximately 17 games for the Grizzlies, it's exactly 17 games. There's still some time for movement. For the Grizzlies to finish second, for the Grizzlies to finish fifth. Don't think they'll go as low as sixth. But again, tonight they should be able to win their 4th straight game. And then we'll see what happens on Friday against Cleveland. Did you watch the ending of the Bucks-Pacers game last night?
I did. It was insane.
Okay. Did you, Eli?
I didn't see it because I was doing the hustle, but I saw the highlight of the 4-point play.
All right. First of all, it was an unbelievably designed play. Halliburton gets it, and in the corner, throws up a 3. They're down 3 to Milwaukee. Throws up a 3 with a couple seconds left, is fouled by Giannis, makes the 3, makes the free throw, they win. Okay, why are you not fouling up 3? Why are you allowing Halliburton to shoot it?
Well, they did foul.
Well,
that was the problem.
Yeah, but that was just the desperation. Let's lean over, try to block a shot, and not prevent him from shooting the 3. I'm talking about a little touch foul once the ball was inbounded. Before Halliburton, it was unbelievably designed and executed. One thing is to design a play, the other thing is to execute it. But it was perfect, and maybe they just couldn't get him. He was so fast, and he got into the corner and heaved up the 3. But that was...
Some coaches don't foul up 3.
Yeah, I guess so. But, to lose that game up 3 with 3 seconds to go is nuts. You would think the worst-case scenario is a tie. We're going to overtime. Or maybe you get that desperation shot with a second to go. Instead, they lose the game. That's a horrible loss. It's a great win for the Pacers, and... it's one of the shots of the year in the NBA.
Did you bet on Milwaukee?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. You're talking like you bet on them. How about, by the way, Detroit is now tied with Milwaukee and Indiana for the 4th spot in the East. Detroit could have home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs after winning 14 games last year. Like, that's amazing. If they end up with home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs after a 14-win season, maybe Bickerstaff does deserve Coach of the Year over Atkinson.
Maybe.
Although with Cleveland winning 15 in a row again, it's like seriously, I don't even. Cleveland will have their 15-game winning streak here on Friday because they don't play before Friday. I mean, when you're just putting up 15-game winning streaks like it's nothing, it's.
Well, I'm not saying he should win necessarily, but I'm saying I would not have a problem with him winning. Atkinson is probably going to be the coach of the year and deservedly so. But what Bickerstaff has done, Bickerstaff just wins where he's at and then he gets fired. JB is a really good coach, and this turnaround is amazing. And, yes, they have a chance to actually host the series, maybe, when it's all said and done, in the NBA playoffs. And was it, am I mistaken? I read a tweet, so I didn't hear him say this, so maybe it was just BS, that Shaq, okay, you're already shaking your head, yes. So Shaq started talking and praising the Pistons, and he praised Chauncey Billups as their coach.
Well,
what was it he said?
I wouldn't quite say he praised the Pistons. He's been very, people around him have been trying to praise the Pistons, and he's been very quick to shoot it down.
Okay, so, but didn't he say Chauncey Billups is the coach?
He did say Chauncey Billups was the coach.
Well, all right, so take it with a grain of salt.
Well, at least he didn't say Chauncey Billups was still playing for him.
Right, that could be worse.
He got that right.
He's like Billups and Tayshaun Prince together, man, that 1-2 punch. But that just shows you, I mean, here's, again, Shaq, who's part of the TNT, NBA on TNT, and so he's dialed into what's going on in the association. And this is, to me, look, it's a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. I understand that. But it's also a little bit of the disrespect for J.B. Bickerstaff, that you don't even remember he's the head coach. Like, it should roll right off your tongue. But it's not. You got to think about it. Who's the coach of the Pistons? You know, is Monty Williams? J.B. Bickerstaff is a really, really good coach. His dad, Bernie, was a great coach in Washington for years and years and years. J.B. does not get respect. I mean, again, being let go here, the whole thing with this guy, he wins, teams play well for him. I don't know if there's a discord between him and management. I don't get it. But, yeah, the Pistons are a great story. All right. From the NBA, got a couple of other things I wanted to get to before we break, and then Jerry Palm on the other side. It's official. Ole Miss will once again not hold a spring game. They will have, however, for the first time since 2019, a Meet the Rebels Day. So Ole Miss, and that trend started last year with Lane Kiffin, become yet another team around the country that will not have a spring game. Yet, you have coaches like Josh Heupel for Tennessee that has come out and said, we're embracing it. We're looking forward to it. We want to have this spring game. But Matt Rule and others, I think Lincoln Riley maybe with USC, if I'm not mistaken, are not having spring games, and Lane Kiffin is one of them. Tiger Woods announced that he just went under the knife. Minimally evasive surgery, however, they call
Invasive.
Evasive, excuse me.
Invasive.
Invasive. What did I say? Evasive? Invasive. He has ruptured his left Achilles tendon while training at home. If it's to me, it's like something's not jiving here. A left Achilles tendon rupture, to me, sounds like more than just invasive surgery. But I'm not a doctor. The modern science, I don't know. But that, to me, seems like a very serious injury. And when you're his age, trying to come back, they say, it's a successful surgery. They always say that, right? And that he'll, be back sooner than later. Back from what? He's done, man. I mean, he'll play in a major a few times more in his career, but he's not going to be competitive. He's not even competitive in the TGL, which he came up with Rory. We got to accept this, that Tiger is done. And nobody wants to accept it. We keep thinking Tiger is going to come back and all of a sudden compete for a major.
I haven't thought it for years.
No, I know you haven't. But there are people certainly that think that.
They hope for it. I think people are just wishful thinking.
Maybe it's wishful
hope for
thinking.
The return of the glory days. And he's
I-
had something else in him. But dude's had, I don't know how many surgeries now. I mean, his body is basically held together at this point by duct tape.
Yeah, we would all love to see it. Absolutely, Tiger make a cut in the majors and play well. He's not going to be a top 5 guy. It's not happening, not even at Augusta. But it's sad to see that. He's trying to come back.
I wish he would not play at all because it's freaking pathetic to watch him try and walk.
I still believe that he will eventually play some of the majors on the Champions Tour. I'm sticking with that. I still think it'll happen. But if he continues to do this, and I don't know what he did. I don't know if he's exercising too hard or his body just wasn't mended enough to be able to do the exercise that he did. I don't know what type of workouts he has and what his trainers have. I'm sure he's not doing it on his own. I can't imagine. You got that type of money. You have the trainers setting up a plan for you. But, man, left Achilles tendon. Woo. That just does not sound good. NFL. This is crazy. Adam Schefter tweeted this out 47 minutes ago. It's a picture from 2020, February 2nd, 2020, where Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry,
DeAndre Hopkins.
and DeAndre Hopkins are all in a picture together. And DeAndre Hopkins tweets out, how many touchdowns would this trio total? And now, of course, with Henry on the Ravens joining Lamar Jackson, DeAndre Hopkins, if you haven't heard, free agent, is going to Baltimore. Isn't that crazy? Those three will play together in 2025, God willing. And that picture came out in February 2nd of 2020. Joey Bosa signs a one-year, $12.6 million deal with incentives that could be worth up to $15 million with the Bills. Jacoby Brissett will go to the Cardinals to be the backup to Kyler Murray. Just some of the moves made in the NFL. We still wait to see what will happen with some of those quarterbacks, including Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson.
Hey, but congratulations to your Colts. Daniel Jones.
Gosh.
Should solve all your problems.
Well, you probably heard me walking out of the building yesterday when that news came down. So Daniel Jones, with his issues, turning the ball over, also has been hurt lately last year. And then Anthony Richardson, and that one's not working out. Those two will battle for the starting job. No bueno, my friend. No.
Good luck to you.
Bueno. Thank you for your love. Speaking of love, are wedding bells in your future? If the answer is yes, you need a jeweler you can trust for that unforgettable diamond engagement ring. And Memphians have been trusting James Gaddis Jewelers for over 60 years. Wow, 60 years. They have one of the biggest selections of engagement rings in the Mid-South, the best prices on GIA-certified diamonds. James has all the credentials. He's a master jeweler. He's a diamondologist. He's graded by the Gemologist Institute of America, the type of credentials you want in your jeweler. Whether it's the holidays, a fall wedding, or spring formals, beautiful jewelry accentuates your look. And James Gaddis Jewelers has everything from beautiful necklaces, earrings, and gemstones to stunning bracelets and watches. Plus, new jewelry collections are coming in weekly. Layaway and financing is always available. James Gaddis Jewelers located at 4900 Poplar in East Memphis. Online at GaddisJewelers.com. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Gaddis Jewelers. To hear about all the exciting things happening at the store, make sure you check out Instagram and say I do at James Gaddis Jewelers. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 4, closed on Sunday. James Gaddis Jewelers, second-hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings. When we come back, Jerry Palm with his latest bracketology from CBS Sports. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five-Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you. I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We
maintenance, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
All aboard, football fans! The Memphis Showboats are back in action with more of the football you love. Join the Showboats at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium March 30th for the opening weekend of the 2025 UFL season as the Boats take on the Michigan Panthers. Kickoff is 11 a.m. Head to UFLShowboats.com now to get your tickets and get more of the touchdown celebrating, high-fiving, bell-ringing action you love. That's UFLShowboats.com. Go Boats! Online radio show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Nancy Porter with 24/7 Sports. Your Ole Miss defensive captain Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Moore covering SEC sports ball, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Garvey from kickoff every throw to extra innings. Your Ole Miss sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
This traffic report on Sports 56 is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South Pella Windows. The standard is affordable luxury.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's trying to build just a little bit more over here on 40 westbound from Germantown Parkway down to Sycamore View Road. It's moving 240 east and westbound around Mill Branch, where we had some problems a little bit earlier as it loads up with some more volume in the Midtown area on 240 northbound right up by Lamar. Weimer's Jewelry, they're located 7525 Highway 64. They are your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Diamonds are forever.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. 8:27 is the time. Halfway home on this Wednesday edition of Sports 56 Mornings. It's time now for Jerry Palm.
It's time for Sports 56 Mornings Weekly Chat with Jerry Palm, college football and basketball writer and bracketologist for CBSSports.com. Here are Greg, Eli, and Jerry.
He's Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, CBSSports.com. You can follow him on Twitter at JPPalmCBS. He joins us every single Wednesday during both the college basketball and football seasons. Today, no exception. Right now, Jerry is extremely busy, and we welcome him to the show. How are you, JP?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing okay. You've been with us for years and years and years, and we are good friends. But you, I guess, during this time of the year can be, I guess, a polarizing figure where people love you, and some people, let's just say they don't like you as much. I won't say the other word. And you have nothing to do with anything. All you're doing is putting your education and your intelligence and your analytics and your eyes and your brain to work.
Well, you know, when you're paid to have opinions and express them, you should know about this, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody's going to see it your way.
Right, exactly.
And they may have unique and interesting ways of expressing their disagreement.
Yeah, like, see, I'm mad at you, Jerry, because you got my SIUE Cougars in Dayton.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, well, at least I got them in the bracket.
Well, they have to be in the bracket.
Do I have to do everything?
Hey, by the way, I did have do the two.
You could go see them in Dayton.
Well, I know that's a little too far. Actually, it sucks because there's no sites close to Memphis. But do the two play the first 4 games that feature the 16 seeds? Do those winners automatically play the top 2 overall seeds?
No,
okay.
Not necessarily, because they'll play on. They'll put one of them, I think, on Thursday and the other on Friday.
Okay, because they want to play Tuesday, want to play Wednesday in the play. Okay, so I can remember how
so
that worked.
They want to do a Thursday, Friday, and so it really just depends. Sometimes the 1 and 2 are not on a Thursday and a Friday.
Yeah. Okay, I couldn't remember how that worked, and that's why I was trying
Number
to figure
one overall is definitely going to get one. Although, if we had a situation, it's been a while since we have, that the number one overall team was playing in, the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't really want to send teams to the West Coast. So there's a chance that, for travel reasons, they might not play the overall number one. But that hasn't been the case for quite some time.
Jerry is updating his bracketology every day. You have not done today's update yet, correct?
Actually, I just did it before you called. So by the time this conversation's over, you should be able to see it.
Okay. All right. So I'm looking right now at yesterday's, but we'll see if we can get that updated. So what change, if any, was made on the West Coast Conference champions as Gonzaga gets the win in the championship game of the tournament after losing to St. Mary's twice during the regular season?
Yeah, I still have Gonzaga as a 9. That's their first win over a team that is definitely going to be in the tournament. Gonzaga's first win. Because their others are Baylor, Indiana, San Diego State. Those are all bubble teams. Now, I'd be surprised if all three of them missed, but they're bubble teams. They could all miss. So that's why they are, even though they're in the top 10 of the predictive metrics, the top 10, like the net and KenPom and that, the ones that measure resume quality and don't really consider margin of victory, they are in the 40s of those metrics. So I've never had a team this disparate, but your local team is also very disparate, but opposite.
Right.
The resume metrics for Memphis have them in the high teens, and the net has them in the mid-40s.
Yeah, you've made that pretty clear because you've said that they will be underseeded. So here's my question to you.
I think they could be for that reason, yeah.
Here's my question to you. We'll use Gonzaga and we'll use Memphis. Even though they're opposites, they're both in the same boat. What seed for each of those teams would tell you that the committee has gone really heavy on the analytics, and what seed would it be if they're going heavy on the resume? Like, what to you, in your mind, would it be?
If Gonzaga is out of the middle of the bracket, like I've got them as a 9.
Okay.
So if they're in the top 25, number 7 or number 25 is a 7. If they're in the top 25 of the committee, then I think that's a metric influenced seed.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's just hard to look at their resume and the relative lack of quality of their wins and the relative lack of quality of their losses. They don't have any super horrible losses, but they also have not really. It's not like they lost to Santa Clara, they lost to Oregon State. All of their other losses are to teams that are in the tournament, but there's a lot of them. I mean, they've got 6 quad 1 losses. They're 4-6, but only one of those wins is a team definitely going to the tournament. All 6 of the losses are, and then 2 quad 2 losses that are not. I mean, that's just not a top 25 team.
Right.
But
I agree.
If they get a top 25 seed, then I'm going to have to say that's influenced by the metrics. But here's another thing. If Gonzaga is seeded ahead of Memphis, that is definitely going to be metric influenced.
Okay.
By the way, I'm looking at your new bracket, which did just post, but your last 4 isn't that supposed to be the at-large teams?
Yes, they are. Well, there are 4 16 seeds for Dayton, and last 4 in should be. Why are they not showing up that way?
Your last 4 in has Southern University, SIUE, American, and St. Francis, the automatic qualifiers.
Oh boy, that's not right.
So yeah,
how the heck did that happen?
Yeah, I just want to let you know that there's something screwed up in the way it posted.
Gosh.
So you need to.
But no, obviously not. That's not the way it's supposed to be.
Do you need to text somebody right now?
Something went sideways.
If Auburn were to lose its first game at the SEC tournament, are they still number 1 overall seed?
I think they should be. Who are they going to play? Do we know yet?
They'll play either Ole Miss, Arkansas, or South Carolina.
Yeah, well, South Carolina's the problem, but I think either of the other two, they should still be overall number 1. But the problem is that Duke just doesn't have the wins. I mean, Auburn's resume is overwhelming. I think there'd be a little bit of recency bias in taking them out of that spot, but I guess it could happen, but I don't really see much of a cause, for that to happen.
You've got right now Alabama, Tennessee, Texas A&M all as 2 seeds, Florida as a 1 seed. Florida, what order do you have Alabama, Tennessee, and Texas A&M in overall?
Alabama is 5, Tennessee is 6, and A&M is 8.
Okay.
Michigan State 7.
So how close, I guess, or what for like Alabama or Tennessee to get that last number 1 and Florida to drop?
So here's how I feel about that. If one of those 3 teams, not so much A&M, I think they've got too many losses, but if Alabama, Tennessee, or Florida wins the SEC tournament, that team will be the 4th number 1. If none of them win it, then Michigan State's in play. But may not be Michigan State. Mm-hmm. But then there's a decision to make.
Wow. So if Michigan State won the Big Ten tournament, none of them won the SEC, you think Michigan State would get there?
I think that's the scenario that gives them a chance. I'm not saying it's definite that they would. I'm just saying that puts Michigan State in play. They would definitely have to win the Big Ten tournament.
If any one of those 3, Florida, Alabama, now Florida and Alabama would play each other possibly in the semifinals, but one of them reaches the championship game and loses to Auburn. I guess that would have to be Florida or Alabama because Tennessee would play Auburn earlier. Would that be enough to overcome the other 2?
I'm sorry. Say that again?
If Alabama or Florida lose, well, Florida's already got there, but let's say Alabama loses to Auburn in the championship game, would that get them the number 1 seed?
Auburn loses to Florida.
Alabama loses to Auburn in the championship game. Is that enough? They don't win the championship, but they lose. They're in the championship game against Auburn. Would that overtake Florida?
Hard to say. Maybe, but or
Michigan State, even if Michigan State won the Big Ten.
Yeah, no. See, that's the thing. Is that it's hard to say. But it's Alabama, Florida, and Tennessee. If none of those teams win the SEC, I can't tell you what order for sure they're going to be in. Alabama, beats Florida, loses Auburn. One of them loses to Auburn in the SEC title game. That's probably going to be the highest rated of the 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, it could be that Tennessee loses to Auburn earlier.
Yeah.
And could still be the highest rated of the 3. So it's Michigan State. Michigan State doesn't come into play unless someone other than one of those 3 wins the SEC.
Jerry Palm joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest lines. You can follow Jerry on Twitter at JPPalmCBS and get his latest bracketology, which right now is in the midst of getting fixed, I guess, at CBSSports.com. Houston, if they don't win the Big 12 tournament title, could they drop to a 2 seed?
Maybe. It would have to be a relatively bad loss, I think.
So just getting to the championship game should secure their spot.
Who are they playing in the championship game?
Somebody good.
Are they playing West Virginia? Because, right.
No, I'm going to guess. I don't have the bracket in front of me.
They're playing Texas Tech, or I got the bracket in front of me to know if that could even be a championship game. But
how about if they're playing Kansas?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Kansas is probably good enough. Are they bracketed so they could? So I mean, I'm not worried about Houston.
Okay.
Houston has to take a bad loss before he starts thinking about them not being a 1.
Gotcha.
Is BYU, if they lost to BYU in the semis, would that be a good enough loss to keep them at 1?
I don't know. Maybe.
Because BYU, where do you have BYU? Oh, BYU's the 7th seed in yours.
Yeah. Well, there was I had him as an 8, but I had to move him to a 7 to get him to play on Saturday instead of Sunday.
Oh, I forgot about that.
There are the 8-9 spots that are Thursday, Saturday, all the way through.
So, Jerry, what couple of teams should we be keeping an eye on that are really bubblicious, that they're going to have to do some damage? Obviously, you win the tournament, you're in, but they have to do some pretty serious damage to get in. Like a couple of those teams that are right there on the bubble that we need to keep an eye on.
Well, I mean, really, any of the last 4 in, but anybody that's not in, that thinks they could be, first 4 out kind of teams. Those 8 are in the most precarious position. So you can keep an eye on any of them. It's there's doubt for all of them. There are teams on the bubble that are further up the bracket that could still fall out with a bad enough loss. Like, for example, today, West Virginia plays in Kansas State. If they lose to Kansas State, we have to start asking questions about West Virginia. If they beat Kansas State, they're probably off the bubble and good.
What about Arkansas against South Carolina?
Yeah, Arkansas is definitely right there. That they're not in. And I think Oklahoma might also be just above the last four in, but they aren't in a position to take a bad loss.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Arkansas, if they were lost, it would be to South Carolina.
Yeah, that's the thing. Now you're talking about two losses to the last place team, and to one of the two teams in the league that's really just not all that good. And you've lost to them twice in the last, 4 games? 5 games?
Yeah, Oklahoma would be losing to Georgia, which would be...
Yeah, that's not so bad. I mean, Georgia's... Oklahoma's probably an underdog.
You talked a little bit earlier about Memphis when comparing to Gonzaga and the kind of the opposites of what they're doing as far as metrics and resume and things of that nature. But you have been solid on Memphis as a 6. If Memphis takes care of business down in Fort Worth, you feel, at least from what you've come up with, that they're a solid 6 seed. Who knows what the committee will do, but you feel that that's their spot. They're not going to go up by winning the conference tournament.
Probably not. Unless there's some attrition ahead of them that could push them up. Because if they're a conference champion, they're going to be one of, 6 conference champions in that part of the bracket. Everyone else has taken a loss. There's like all 37. People don't think about it, but all 37 at-large teams are finishing their season with a loss. So if Memphis is not one of them, that's somewhat advantageous, but they're not really resume building in their league.
What about Sunday? They play 2:15 tip-off right before the selection committee show, and they're playing in the championship game and they lose. How much of a factor would that be?
It's as much of a factor as if they play it on Thursday or in February.
Okay.
The committee will have 2 brackets, one with Memphis winning and one with Memphis losing. And when the game is over, they throw out the one that doesn't matter.
That's what Eli said yesterday.
Greg doesn't believe that. So just to let you know, Greg will never believe that.
And in fact, those will not be the only contingency brackets for that day. Because there's...
It can't be.
What?
Yeah.
No, they're going to have... I mean, it may be that some games the result doesn't matter. That's possible. Where you could have a game where the result either way isn't going to change those teams' seeds. And that could be like, Auburn's playing Florida, whatever. They're both going to be ones. Even if Florida wins, they're probably still where they are. Kind of a thing. So it's not every game requires a contingency, but most of them do, and they've got brackets for every contingency. And then they just throw them out if they no longer need them.
Okay. It just seems to me like it's more complicated than that because, Memphis lost, probably drops them down a seed line. Maybe it puts
But they've already talked about it. That's the thing, is they've already made those decisions in advance of Sunday. So
Eli's laughing at me because
I've been trying to say this, but he will not believe it, Jerry. He's never going to believe it.
Well, I mean, you would think
he doesn't think that's possible. Somehow,
you think there's a domino effect that, how about in this league that this team loses in the championship game, and this other league this team loses in the championship game, and then Memphis loses or win. I mean, there's it seems like it's more than 2 scenarios.
They've got a bracket for every combination of results that require different brackets.
Okay. Sounds like a combination of trying to win a damn lottery.
It's not necessarily a small task.
Right.
So, but I think it's one of the championship games on Sunday is like an AQ, but I forget which one it is. But, so they might just have a spot in the bracket for that champion where they're basically the same. Whoever wins just goes in that spot.
Yeah,
so that's not that hard.
And we'll never find out unless, I guess, they were asked.
Well, you'll never know what the other contingency brackets are.
Exactly.
Because there's no reason for you to.
Exactly. But, I mean, I would be so curious to see. Now, obviously, I want Memphis to win the game, but if they lost and let's say they announced Memphis as a 7, did they have them as a 6 or did they have them always as a 7?
You'll never know.
I'll never know.
But the biggest contingency for that game is that whoever wins is a bid stealer. Someone's bouncing off the bracket.
Exactly.
So that game has a huge contingency because somebody is not going to make the tournament if Memphis loses.
That's right. All right.
Because it's the SEC, Big Ten, and American. I know are 3 that are on Sunday.
I think the 8-10 might be that day as well.
Okay.
See, again, you have multiple scenarios.
I think there were 5 of them. I want to say like one of like the SWAC or there's like I think there are 5 of them.
So there's 5. So again, it's got to be a little bit complicated because there could be all kinds of different scenarios. You're talking about 5 different games that could affect where they're seated, where they're playing, what region they're in. I don't know. To me, it's a little more complicated than it seems.
So the 5 leagues that play their championship games on Sunday are the Big Ten, the American, the SEC, the Atlantic 10, and the Ivy League.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Okay.
And the Ivy League actually could matter because Yale is a decent team. They could be like a 13 seed, maybe a 14.
Right.
Anybody else might be a 16. So, that contingency sounds like, well, you're just taking one team out and putting them in, but no, you're putting them in a different part of the bracket.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and there's 5 different conferences, so it's a lot more complicated.
This kind of stuff, so they don't have to do it all by hand.
They do, so they can enjoy their shrimp cocktail and their beers.
It's not that easy, but yeah.
Hey,
I told you, he's never going to believe it, Jerry. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, well,
don't try and explain it.
It's just like I'm not going to believe that the Alabamas of the world and teams of that nature are not favored. He is the best. He's Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, CBSSports.com. Are you going to be on the Tube?
Yeah, I'm on CBS Sports Network all weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
All right, check them out. Wear the tuxedo, the top hat, the tails. We need to see you all decked out. And we'll talk to you next week when it's going to already be underway with the first 4, I guess. Or just about starting. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, JP. Cool. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Okay, take care. That's complicated, buddy. That is complicated. They may have, if it's down to the last game, just they're 2 scenarios, but you're talking about 5 different conferences that could all have upsets in the championship game. You have to have all these different combinations, man. That's a lot.
It's very possible. They do it every year. And again, like the SEC probably won't matter. Like if it's Auburn versus Florida, it's going to matter. It won't really change anything, regardless of who wins it.
Right.
Or if it's Auburn versus Alabama or whatever. I mean, but like in the others, like the Ivy League will be this. Whichever team wins is in, the other one is not. Like the American will be one of the few probably that has a chance where a team is playing its way in and knocking somebody else out. I don't think there would be obviously some upsets could happen and whatever. You get some crazy runs, but in all likelihood, the American will be the only one that is a team trying to play its way in that would knock another team out of the bracket. Fleet Feet, the place to go to get all your running gear. Go see the folks in the Laurelwood Shopping Center in East Memphis or out in Collierville at Poplar and Houston Levy next door to Huey's. Folks at Fleet Feet will take a look at the way you run, the way you walk, and get you fitted with shoes that are just right for you. Plus all your other gear, they've got you taken care of. Getting that nice weather out there, folks getting outside, exercising, doing a lot of stuff. Well, stop by Fleet Feet first to make sure you have all of your gear. 2 locations to serve you, also online, fleetfeetmemphis.com. They're on social media where they keep you up to date with all the stuff going on in the running world, races, the things they sponsor, their group runs, other stuff that you can get involved with the folks at Fleet Feet.
You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Sunrise is a state of mind. Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise East on Poplar aren't just the best places in Memphis to get a hot, fresh breakfast or lunch. Both Sunrise locations are places where you can relax and forget about everything outside. You can sit, eat, have a drink, look at the original folk art, maybe make a friend or 2. Sunrise doesn't mean you have to get up at sunrise. Sunrise doesn't mean you have to constantly be in a rush. Sunrise means you should be able to go where the employees care about you and not your politics. Plus, really good biscuits.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2350 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Hi, fellas. I'm Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. And Christmas and Valentine's Day have come and gone. And at some point, you need to make your favorite lady happy on her anniversary or her birthday, or just because she's special. At Russell Brothers, we've been helping Memphis men for over 40 years do just that. When a gift-giving occasion arises, we're here to help you. Magnificent diamonds and exquisite gemstones are our forte, and you can find them set in stunning range. Beautiful necklaces, shimmering bracelets, or perhaps an elegant pair of earrings. The possibilities are endless, and at Russell Brothers you can always know that if you surprise her and she'd rather have something else, we're happy to exchange or refund your money within 30 days. We know you don't hit a home run every time at bat. Beauty, value, quality, and service are the things that set Russell Brothers apart from other jewelers. Come see us at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. Let us help you say you're the best to that wonderful lady in your life. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
The Grizzlies' run to the home stretch of the regular season continues tonight at FedEx Forum against the Utah Jazz. Tickets for the 7 p.m. tip-off are available now at Grizzlies.com or the FedEx Forum box office.
Now, back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Sad news from the world of the NBA, and for those my age, certainly know of the name Junior Bridgman. A lot of you younger folks may not have heard of Junior Bridgman, but he was a former standout, All-American at Louisville, who was drafted in 75 by the Lakers and then traded to the Milwaukee Bucks in the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trade. A massive trade back in the day. And Bridgman would go on to play 12 years in the NBA. He was a very good player. He was a sixth man and really, really good. Contributed to 10 years with the Bucks on those Bucks teams and 2 years with the Clippers. He made about less than $3 million in his NBA career. Think about that in this day and age. 12 seasons, less than $3 million. A lot for you and I, but for NBA players, not that much. Never more than $350,000 in a season. But after his career, you talk about one of the most successful entrepreneurs, period. He built a fast food empire that at its peak totaled more than 450 restaurants nationwide. He became a Coca-Cola bottling distributor with territories across a bunch of states and into Canada. He bought Ebony and Jet magazines. He purchased 10% of the Bucks. And in February, Forbes reported that Bridgman's net worth had surpassed $1.4 billion. An incredible human being, an incredible entrepreneur, and a hell of a basketball player. And unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 71 yesterday. He was speaking at an event in Louisville, Kentucky, and the reports are he clutched his chest. And I don't know if it's official yet, but it appears that he had a heart attack and passed away. Boy, that's sad.
Yeah, very sad. And I've told the story before, but I used to have a pair of Junior Bridgman's warm-up pants from the Bucks.
That's right.
So I don't know whatever happened to those warm-up pants. They're probably still somewhere at my parents' house. I have no clue what I ever did with those warm-up pants, but had a pair of Junior Bridgman's warm-up pants. Little did I know at that time that he was going to be a billionaire.
Did you have a certificate of authenticity?
I did not.
So can't.
Although I think, if I remember correctly, on the tag, I think it was. I think like where his initials were like written in marker on the tag.
Right.
If I remember right, I think it was something like that. There was something on him, I think, that showed that they were like you. Yeah, yep. That's.
And how'd you get them?
A high school coach of mine basically stole them, and then eventually he used to wear them all the time, and I used to always make fun of him somewhat, but also beg him for them. And then eventually, when I got done playing high school basketball, one day he gave me those pants.
Oh, that's cool.
And, but yeah, he was at a game. It was a Bulls-Bucks game, and after the game, he said he was down on the floor, and there were these pair of warm-up pants sitting there, and so he just grabbed them.
So it wasn't like today when they'll hand you the jersey off their chest. The pants were just sitting there, and he stole them. By the way, Jerry just texted me. He said, thank you. All fixed at Jerry Palms with his latest bracketology at CBSSports.com.
That's it. Just here to help, because I was like, wait, that's not the way that I know. That's not the way that's supposed to be.
Oh, that's weird.
Just wanted to make sure that he knew that got posted incorrectly. So good for Jared. All's good in the world now. Because I was like, wait a second, why is SIUE a last four in? They're not. They're actually the first ones in. They were the very first ones into the tournament. They are certainly not the last four in.
Do you have Coug fever?
I'm actually, I'm mad. I wish there was a site down somewhere closer that would be the south side, and that's what I was wondering, because if they are in Dayton, there could be a very good chance that they would go on to play Auburn, and if there was a site closer to Memphis in the south, Auburn would be there because they're going to get closest to. So it sucks that there's not a site here. Like Lexington is where Auburn is going to be, which is not crazy far away, but it's still a little further away than I would like to go. So it would be nice if there was if this would have been great if this was the year Memphis was hosting the first and second rounds and Auburn was here, and then if SIUE it could win in Dayton and then come play Auburn in Memphis.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's happening with Memphis, because nothing's really close, but I'm debating whether or not there's the possibility of going with a long drive. I've made these long drives before, but I think Memphis will end up in Denver or somewhere out west, and it'll end up not being something that you can drive to. But we'll see. And I'm not even sure if that's even a possibility, but something I've just been contemplating with a couple of friends that maybe's worth looking into. But that will all happen once the bracket comes out on Sunday. When we come back, we open up hour number 3. We're talking Grizzlies with Drew Hill. DeMichael Cole, usually in this spot, will join us on the program tomorrow. But Drew, who we have on periodically, and we love having him on, he'll join us to talk Grizzlies. But also, he's written about P.J. Haggerty, so we'll have him talk about that. That's at 9:05. Then at 9:25, Parthu Pajai will join us, Tigers basketball beat writer on the Tigers. And their week this week down in Texas, which they won't leave until later today and won't play until Friday, but nevertheless, hoping to win a conference tournament title to match their regular season title and then get ready for the big dance next week. So we'll talk to Parth about that. That's all coming up in hour 3. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Share with us why you chose Town Village. Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me early on, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and the staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise home, Town Village.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I pluck mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Fiveash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 912-715-5199.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Clearing up a couple of wrecks we had out here earlier. Just busy in a couple of spots, like in the Midtown area, right on schedule 240 north up by Lamar as traffic gets heavier. I-40 east across the Hernando de Soto Bridge coming over from West Memphis. Coming down 51 seems to have increased just a bit as you come down out of Millington. Hey, if your yard needs some help this time of the year, call the professionals. Lawn Solutions. These guys are the best. Check them out online at lawnsolutionsinc.net. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 3 of the program. 59 degrees, going to get up to 78 today. It was beautiful yesterday, beautiful again today. Bright sunshine, and then tonight it'll start to cloud up, and overnight we're expecting some thunderstorms. About a 60% chance now of rain, 59 for your overnight low. Then rain into the morning hours, and then clearing up. Sunshine expected at some point tomorrow with a high of 76 degrees. It's going to get to 81 on Friday. Cloudy, windy, but 81 degrees on Friday. So I think spring is here. I think it is. Coming up here in hour number 3, Drew Hill joins us in just a moment, then Parth Upadhyay. Jenkins Floors and More is our third hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings. Family-owned and operated local business that specializes in flooring and carpeting. And if it's variety you're looking for, they have it. Easily accessible in Horn Lake. I mean, anywhere in the metropolitan Memphis area, in the Mid-South, it's an easy drive to get there. But they will come to you. You don't even have to go there. They'll come to you if you need flooring, you need new carpeting. They'll bring you samples. They'll give you a free estimate. You go with Jenkins, they'll get the job done in 2 weeks. That's it. That's their promise to you. You don't have to worry about the big box stores where they couldn't care less about you. You're a number. Here, you're a person. You're an individual. You're family. That's what you are. Jenkins Floors and More. They also have stores down in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock, Arkansas. You can call them at 662-469-9350 for contractors, for do-it-yourself homeowners. But also, again, if you can't do the job and you don't want to do the job, that would be me. You call the experts and you call Jenkins Floors and More. Financing is always available. Military and first responders, you get 10% off. Sports 56 listeners, ask about your family discount. It's Jenkins Floors and More, the third hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings. Without further ado, he covers the Memphis Grizzlies for the Daily Memphian. but also will dabble in other areas, including a little bit on the Tigers and PJ Haggerty. He is our good friend Drew Hill. You can follow him on Twitter at DrewHill_DM. He joins us now on Sports 56 Mornings. How are you, Drew?
I'm good. Was down at the Hustle game last night and saw our guy Eli. That was cool.
It was good to see you down there.
Yeah, I try to make it down there at least once during the season. I don't think the story is out quite yet, but had found a good little story from the Landers Center. Believe it or not, the Landers Center has become a premier honeymoon destination worldwide.
Wow!
And so
can't wait for this story
to write about that.
Well,
Yeah.
who's more
crazy? I mean, it's amazing how big of a deal Yuki is.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Wait, who's bigger, Eli or Yuki in South Haven, at the Landers Center specifically? Eli or Yuki?
Probably Eli.
That's what I'm
Probably Eli in the Landers Center. Yeah,
maybe,
in the Landers
or maybe
Center.
Roser.
He had one couple come on a honeymoon. I can't tell you how many people have come through on their honeymoon to see me there. It's crazy.
Wait,
It's wild.
I can't wait to read the story because I have no idea what you guys are talking about when it comes to the honeymoons. I know I saw the photo, I guess it was from you, Drew, with Yuki and the little, I think it was a little girl in the sign or a picture or whatever. But yeah, Yuki's he's a showstopper. So that's
the little girl is Ja's daughter.
Oh, that was Ja's daughter. That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, now I remember
And,
the caption.
and the fun part, I'll spoil part of it. The honeymooners gave Kari Morant that towel. They came from Japan to the Landers Center, the most romantic place on earth, for their honeymoon.
Well, the circus.
That's what
the
it's built
circus
at.
is coming to the Landers Center, or maybe it was there. I don't know. Either way, but
And then Elijah Harkless ruined their marriage and everything.
In one night.
In one night. In 2 days, Elijah Harkless ruined everything.
Does Taylor Jenkins on a day off ever show up at a Hustle game when they're in town? When Memphis is off, he's at home, or is he doing family things at that time?
I don't think Taylor's been to any games this year. I haven't seen. Although when Taylor comes, he will most of the guys will they'll sit courtside. Like Taylor, when he's been at games, he'll sit up in the crowd. He'll be up in the middle of a section somewhere.
He doesn't want to be noticed, I'm sure.
I have not seen him. I don't believe at any games this season.
All right, Drew. Before we dive into the Grizzlies, you wrote about Haggerty. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I dabble with some columns here and there, and been watching the Tigers all season, and honestly, I just felt like, we've spent a lot of time talking about PJ Haggerty, right, and sort of what he's done this season and all that, and I do think that he's getting the appropriate love, but it just felt like this perfect timing for PJ and Penny. His arrival came at this point where I think some of the doubts were as loud as they've ever been as it relates to Penny. And for PJ, he was really in search of a program where he could be both a centerpiece and be competitive. And these, the two sides sort of came together at the perfect time, and it became this really critical move to the Tigers this season, because with PJ, it feels like all things are possible. When you have a star guard that is that good, I think it opens up all avenues to really dream big when it comes to the postseason, because that's what you remember, right, when you watch the NCAA tournament. It's funny, it didn't make it into the column, but I actually asked PJ about this, and he's like, yeah, for some reason, Jordan Poole, the run that Jordan Poole, had really comes to mind. And obviously everybody remembers Kemba Walker, and he brought up that too. But it's the talented, a little bit more experienced backcourts that can really carry you. And so while all this attention is on whether or not PJ is going to be back with the team next year, and we heard Penny comments about it, we heard the fans chant one more year, while all that is happening, I think it's important to notice that this is what PJ has circled for an extremely long time. He bounced around from high school to high school. He's been in and out at 3 different colleges. He's been searching for something like this. And frankly, Memphis was searching for a player like him, and now we're about to see the pinnacle of that unison, right? Like the moment that everybody's been waiting for, that Tigers fans have been really waiting for, to feel like they have a chance at a big, deep tournament run. And for Haggerty to feel like he finally has a chance to play in meaningful, big-time college basketball games. And, like, that moment's about to be here. So I just wanted to show that a little bit of love as everybody sort of talks about, what may come next for PJ. And trust me, like, I get it. It's certainly going to be really hard for Memphis to retain a player like that, and he's so good that obviously that's something people are going to talk about. But, like, let's let the kid enjoy
the moment. Yes.
Right.
Enjoy the moment. Don't worry about the future. By the way, let's see how their honeymoon is, but I know it won't be at the Landers Center, wherever Memphis plays in the tournament. Drew Hill joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. All right, let's dive into the Grizzlies. One guy we have realized that, or at least it took me a while. I think Eli already knew this and some other people, but don't mess with Cam Spencer. I didn't know he was like tough guy.
Oh, he's totally crazy.
I had no idea. This is all new to me.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I think that this was like, if you were like deeply plugged into UConn basketball last year, this was kind of the book on him. And it's funny, he has a ton of fans like that still follow him from UConn, because I actually hear from them quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah. I've received some emails this year and some DMs, which I haven't even guys that have come from big time programs, I don't even really necessarily get that. But yeah, he's got a big fan base, and yeah, this was kind of the book on him, right? Like that he had that edge, that he was like a little bit wild, a little bit crazy, and I think that you really got a good taste of that. But these guys, like, this was something that was being talked about in Summer League. Honestly, it was like, yeah, Cam Spencer's a little nuts. He was the type of guy that was eating breakfast by himself, at the team hotel, and he's as serious as it gets when they, when it comes to getting on the court. And it's funny because he's so quiet and just polite off the court, and he's focused on, it seems to be, at least from my perspective, all the right things. He's not even on social media. He's never had social media. He's just started a foundation. He's trying to, raise money for veterans. He's investing in products that may change the game for veterans with PTSD. He's doing all these things that are just so nice and generous. Then he gets out there and he's just a maniac. It's just pretty fun. The contrast of it is pretty fun.
He is. He strikes me as he just wants to play basketball. He just likes playing basketball. And that's what he wants to do. Forget all the other side stuff. Let me play basketball.
Yeah, and the funny thing about this too is if you are familiar with Cam and his background, Cam's brother was, and I can't remember the. Sorry, I'm not a huge college lacrosse fan. I can't remember the name of the award off the top of my head, but essentially the Heisman Trophy of college lacrosse. Pat Spencer. Cam's brother won that while playing for Loyola, Maryland in lacrosse, then quit playing lacrosse. He probably would have been the number one draft pick in, the professional lacrosse league in the United States, and just quit, and then decided to take a year and go be a grad transfer and play basketball at Northwestern for one season, and then right after that ends up in the NBA. I think that gives you a sense of what he was doing in the off seasons. Pat was playing basketball with Cam. He wasn't even training for lacrosse, and he was still the best college lacrosse player in the country. But those two have been playing basketball their whole life. They grew up in a house full of brothers. They had midshipmen from the Naval Academy over at their house all the time because they grew up in Annapolis, and they just played hoops. And I think this is just a kid that's fell in love with hoops and playing with his brothers, and that's what you sort of see out there.
The top male and female college lacrosse players in the country receive the Tewaaraton Award.
It blew me away the first time Pat came in for, I don't remember who, I think it was with Santa Cruz at that point. I can't remember who his first time he came in on a G League team, and I started reading about him. I'm like, that's crazy. Just be this unbelievable lacrosse player. I'm like, I'm going to go play college basketball for 1 year and then be able to be a guy who, eventually makes it to the NBA.
That's the crazy
that's
part.
A freak athlete.
Yeah, not that he went and changed and played college ball, but to play in the NBA? Yeah, that's nuts. Your story, by the way, has just posted, or at least I see it now on Twitter. So, folks, check it out. Make sure you get a subscription to the Daily Memphian. I'm looking forward to reading this one. I'm looking at the honeymooners, man. They're at the Landers Center. I'm just laughing, man. I love what you're. It may not be Santorini, Greece, or an all-inclusive resort, but the Landers Center.
I believe they're headed to Disney World, right?
I think the content in the piece, I don't know. I tried to be funny in there. I don't know if it's going to land or not. Y'all can tell me when you get a chance to read it. But
if you wrote that,
it's pretty hilarious.
If you wrote that caption right there, I mean, just
they're on their way to Disney World. Is that correct?
Yeah, afterwards.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, one of the funniest things. We can't get off this honeymoon thing, but one of the funniest things about this that didn't even make it in the piece is there's a language barrier, and I'm trying to explain some of these things, both to Yuki and this Japanese couple that's there, and I'm asking them about Disney World, and I'm like, what's more romantic? They looked at me like they had no idea what I was talking about. I was like, what's more romantic, the Landers Center or Disney World? And I said, what's more love? And he said, here, the Landers Center. And I looked at the guy and I said, are you sure about that? And he said, and then he looked over at his wife. He said, well, for me.
Wait, what do they call Disney World? The most magical place on Earth?
Place on Earth.
Yeah, I think Landers Center is number 2 on that list as well.
The folks at the Landers Center need to use this somehow to promote their arena for events coming up in the future, because it's pretty cool.
Promo, honeymoon night.
Honeymoon night at the Landers Center. There you go.
Drew, have you heard anything? Have any idea of how much longer Jaren might be out?
No, I mean, I don't think I have anything specific, but I can just paint a picture here of what it's looked like so far. Obviously it was a very good sign that he wasn't in a boot, and a grade 2 sprain often can mean it's a partial tear, which usually takes some time to heal, so it's typically closer to 3 weeks, but the sign that Jaren wasn't in a boot is obviously a good one. He's only been out 1 week so far, so I obviously don't expect him to be – I wouldn't expect that he's going to be back on the floor until closer to that 2-week window. I think that probably has always made more sense. But, I mean, even then, we don't know. I mean, I think at this point, he's just looking at that 65-game minimum going, that's what I got to get to. And the Grizzlies are looking at him saying, we need you to get to that 65-game window, but don't push it, big fella. We really need you healthy in the playoffs. So if you asked me, I mean, I would guess – this is just literally just me guessing. I would guess Jaren probably really wants to play in that Tony Allen game. So what? That'd be a little bit closer to 2 weeks. I mean, if he was back out there for that, it might be a little surprising, but I'm sure he would really want to be out there. That'd be a pretty quick turnaround if he could do that. Yep. But I like, he's not playing tonight. So we'll see when he's back out there. I don't think we have any definite answers. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a little bit more clear of an update later today.
By the way, programming note, we are scheduled to have Tony Allen, the grindfather himself, on the program tomorrow at 9:30.
If he's going to play in that game, that would mean probably Friday night he would be listed as doubtful, and then he would get the questionable designation for Saturday and play.
Yeah, what's funny, though, is this is kind of my job to pay attention to some of this stuff. I don't think the questionable and the doubtful thing, maybe that is the case, that you'll get a doubtful when a player's been out for a while and then get upgraded. But I've been noticing recently, questionable has not really meant they're likely to play for the Grizzlies anymore.
It used to be always that they would, but now
it has changed.
When guys are out for the long period of time, they still usually do the doubtful for one game, questionable the next game, and they play the questionable game.
Yeah, but
right.
All right, so here's the bottom line. We got 17 games to go in the regular season. The Grizzlies could finish anywhere from 2nd to 5th. I don't think they would fall to 6th, but a long losing streak, and they would. But they could finish 2nd. They're right there. So we don't know where they're going to finish. We know that they continue to beat up on bad teams, and tonight should win their 4th straight. Should beat up on Utah. Should, and they've had these heartbreaking losses that you have watched firsthand that have been really tough. They've now battled a few more injuries than they would like, but have been basically pretty healthy here for this last month or 2 months. My question to you is, I have no idea what to expect when the postseason happens. I mean, who knows? A lot's going to depend on matchup and this, but even a healthy team, assuming no major injury to one of their major players moving forward, Jackson will be back, knock on wood. What do you expect?
Yeah, here's the way I'm really choosing to view this. So obviously, Ja hasn't been at 100% this season. Like that's been clear, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the good news is that it feels like the last 3 games, it's like even if he's not gonna get to 100%, it feels like he's finding some sort of rhythm and figuring out a better way to play with the shoulder stuff that he's been dealing with. And so I think you're really hoping that sorts itself out, because if you're going to win in the playoffs, like, it has to, right? Like that's the most critical key piece to us all. And I think when you look at the Grizzlies versus the general landscape of the NBA, and in particular the West, like, they're not the Thunder, right? Like, there's a clear tier above the Grizzlies at this point in the season. And it's not a knock on Memphis. It's just credit to where those teams have been all season long. They've been a step ahead. And so if you were to ask yourself, like, are the Grizzlies a true title contender? I think everybody wants to say yes, but they're not the title contender that some of those the very top teams are at this point. Like, those teams have separated themselves for a reason. So I think you're hoping you can probably avoid the Thunder as you get to the playoffs. So to me, it is pretty important. Maybe you stay out of the 4-5 game and you move your way into 2-3 so that you can get to the second round, because in the playoffs, anything can happen, right? Like, we've seen team pathways open up for teams all the time in the past. And so if you can push off having to play OKC as long as possible, you never know what can happen. And I think the talent level of this team is capable of reaching a conference finals. I think the talent level of this team is capable of reaching a finals if things break right for them. So, are the Grizzlies if that's the question here, if I'm understanding it right, like, are the Grizzlies a true title contender?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I mean, like, they're it's not zero. The chance is not zero, but it's certainly not what the chance for Oklahoma City or Cleveland or Boston is at this point. So for me, like, if what I would be hopeful that the Grizzlies do is find a way to hang on to that 3 seed, get into the playoffs, take care of your first round matchup, which I think they're plenty capable of doing, and then win a hard-fought series in the second round. Or even if you come up short in that instance, I don't think that's a wasted season or anything.
I agree.
And just see who's waiting there. But I don't want it to be OKC in the second round at this point. Like, it would just be a painful series, it feels like.
That's what I've said all along. Avoid Oklahoma City as long as you possibly can. We had Michael Wallace on, and he's like, well, Oklahoma City's never gotten out of the second round. Maybe they'll feel a little pressure. To me, let somebody else try and deal with that. I will gladly wait until I have to play them in the conference championship series.
Yeah, I agree 100% with your assessment, and that's the way I feel as well, that this can be a very positive season if they go into the playoffs, win a series, competitive in that second round. I know people would love to see them get further, but, man, I think that would be mission accomplished in my opinion. But if they go into that first round, whoever they play, and they fall flat on their face and no excuses this time around, assuming that they're healthy, then there's going to be a lot to talk about after it's over. So I'm not saying there's pressure on that, but I think fans are realists. I think we know how good Oklahoma City is. And we know there are some bad matchups for the Grizzlies, but you got to get into the second round and be competitive. If not, we're going to look back and go, what a wasted season. So hopefully that's not the point. Again, they've been taking care of business against the mediocre teams. They need to start winning against these better teams. They're going to get a chance Friday against Cleveland. But tonight it's Utah. Should be a dub. Drew will have you covered with all these games. And, of course, look out for his great stories. This honeymoon story is out now at the Daily Memphian. I can't wait to read it. He's Drew Hill, Grizzlies beat writer for the Daily Memphian. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at DrewHill_DM. Always appreciate it, Drew. Thank you so much.
Yep, thanks, fellas.
Take care.
Bye.
Corky's. Yeah, it's breakfast time. I know that. But for some who start early like we do, lunch is right around the corner. I mean, like probably an hour from now. And Corky's is a great option for lunch or dinner. You can have any of the services delivered to your home or office. You can just stop by any of their 4 locations or go through the no-contact drive-thru. Delicious slow-smoked barbecue. They've been serving it up for 40 years. They've been catering that entire time as well. So you have an event coming up you want to cater, just call on Corky's. No matter how small, how big. I mean, they have done some gigantic catering. I mean, some big events, and they can do that for you as well. Just contact them about their catering services. They have lunch specials every day. They have party packs that start at just $7.49. By the way, with their catering, starts you out as low as $7.99 per person. That's incredible. Add a third of a rack of ribs for just $7.99 when you purchase an entree for your lunch or dinner, like a barbecue sandwich, maybe their award-winning catfish plate, and get that third of a rack of ribs. They're located at Poplar Avenue in Memphis, Poplar Avenue in Collierville, Germantown Parkway in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Pick up a Corky's gift card while you're there. Corky's Ribs and Barbecue, open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Parthu Pajai joining us next to talk Tigers basketball. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56
From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its community and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Emergencies strike at any time without warning. When they do, food disappears fast. That's why prepared Americans trust My Patriot Supply, the leader in long-term emergency food storage, to protect their families. For a limited time, order their best-selling 4-week emergency food supply and get 4 free 72-hour food kits. That's 12 extra days of food at no extra cost. That's nearly 2 weeks of extra food, free to keep your family secure. Plus, free shipping. Order by 3 p.m. for same-day shipping. All kits deliver 2,000 calories per day of easy-to-prepare meals with a shelf life up to 25 years. These kits that have been rated 4.8 out of 5 stars by tens of thousands of folks like you. When the next crisis hits, you'll be ready. Stock up now at MyPatriotSupply.com before this deal disappears. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com for your 4-week emergency food supply and 4 free extra food kits. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Every year it's the same thing. March arrives, and I want to tell all of you to spend as much time as possible at Bell Tavern watching college basketball. But I also want to ensure everyone that Bell Tavern is not a rowdy sports bar where you'll run into people that can't drink and watch a game without yelling. Once again, let me say Bell Tavern is a great place to watch college basketball where you won't run into people that can't drink and watch a game without yelling. Bell Tavern is not a sports bar. Bell Tavern is a grown-ups bar.
Brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. A little bit more volume in the last few minutes. Westbound I-40 from Germantown Parkway down to Sycamore View Road as traffic builds coming inbound on Sam Cooper. Midtown traffic seems to have picked up just a little bit more at 240 North from Norris all the way up to Union. Hey, if your lawn needs some help this time of the year, call Lawn Solutions with over 30 years experience. Lawn Solutions, that telephone number is 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:30 the time. Parthu Pajai joins us here in just a moment. As I mentioned earlier, with Drew when he was on with us. Tony Allen is scheduled to join us tomorrow at 9:30. The Grindfather will have his jersey retired on Saturday night at the Grizzlies game against the Miami Heat. Also, as I mentioned, Tim Pernetti is going to join us tomorrow, the American commissioner, at 8:05. Plus, the Michael Cole moved to tomorrow. Kerry Miller will join us, a big Thursday show. But this show's big as well because it's time now for Parth.
It's time to talk Memphis Tigers basketball. Joining Greg and Eli is Parth Upadhyay, the Tigers beat reporter for the Daily Memphian. Now here's Parth with Greg and Eli.
He is the Tigers basketball beat writer for the Daily Memphian. He is Parth Upadhyay, who joins us every single Wednesday. Good morning, Parth.
Good morning, fellas. How you doing?
Doing great. So what's the travel plans with Memphis not playing until Friday?
Yeah, gonna rent a car and drive down there tomorrow. Just decided to drive to have the flexibility to come back kind of whenever.
Look at you. Usually you're the plane guy. You like the planes.
I know I've got a reputation as the plane guy indeed. But gonna make it a fun road trip down to Fort Worth for sure.
Yeah, there you go. You'll probably pass a Buc-ee's or two, so may want to stop off there if you need to. Have you ever been to Buc-ee's?
I have a long time ago. It's cool, but I mean, I guess I get the appeal. People just make a big deal out of them, I think.
Well, I know, and I'm kind of playing along with that, but I do love their breakfast sandwiches, so they're outstanding, and their clean bathrooms.
Yes, the clean bathrooms I enjoy. Yes.
Unbelievable, yes. All right, so the postseason awards were handed out yesterday. I don't think it was a big surprise. I thought it would be a crime if Penny wasn't the coach of the year, even though people were saying, Dane, maybe he'll be player of the year. No, PJ deserved player of the year. Dane, first team. I was a little surprised Tyrese Hunter was first team until I realized that there were 10 guys on the first team.
Right.
Instead of 5.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he makes it if there's only 5. But anything surprise you?
No, not really. Pretty much what we all expected, right? Penny, coach of the year. PJ Haggerty, player of the year. I figured Dane would get first team honors, with how strong he came on towards the final 12 games of conference play, which is, the final 2/3 of the slate, right? So majority of league play with what he was doing. I thought Colby Rogers had a chance to get, if they had 3 teams, maybe third team. But then obviously, even with the teams being expanded to 10 players each, so you're going from 15 total players, 5 on each team to 20. Colby still didn't make the cut there, so maybe that was a little bit surprising. But then again, he had been a little bit inconsistent as well down the stretch.
The first game obviously could be Wichita State, one of the 2 teams that beat them during the regular season this year, the team that beat them last year in the conference tournament. Do you believe there's any reason to be maybe a little apprehensive for fans if it is Wichita State?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But I think this is good, right? It's like a revenge factor. 2 years ago when Memphis got swept by Tulane with Kendrick Davis and DeAndre Williams, that was the 22-23 season. And they saw Tulane again in the conference tournament in the second round, or I guess it'd be the semifinal. They beat them by 40, right? So there's a revenge factor there of, when the lights shine bright, like Penny Hardaway's teams kind of come alive. And that could be the case again in Fort Worth. Obviously, Wichita State, with the way they play and the way they match up, especially with the Shockers' ability to rebound the ball, that's been a problem in both matchups, and that's why Memphis ended up losing in that overtime game in Kansas. But I wouldn't be too worried. I mean, it's the team that lost to Tulsa, man, right? They lost to Tulsa a week ago. So how worried can you be?
Well, the whole thing with you were there. They went from Tampa, right, to Wichita, the whole travel thing and all that. I'm not using that as an excuse, but Wichita State did pound the boards, and Memphis has become, I think, over the last few games, a better rebounding team. For whatever reason, they've just been a better rebounding team of late. Plus, there's the whole adversity thing. Every time this team has faced some adversity this year, they always come back strong. Whether they lose a game, they would come back strong and win. Whether they play a bad first half, they come back in the second half and play well. So having the point you just brought up, having lost to Wichita State the last time around, that will be emphasized by this coaching staff. They beat you.
Yeah,
they
no
beat
doubt.
you. They out-rebounded you. They outplayed you. They out-physicaled you. You want to win this tournament? You want to, but I'm telling you, it's going to be a psych job by Penny Hardaway. They're going to go in there, and they're going to be mentally ready to go on Friday. But as far as other possible obstacles, what are you looking at? I mean, if there's the chance they play North Texas again, that was a tight game here in Memphis, and they play that contrasting style. Is that the one team you're looking at that possibly could derail Memphis, or do you think this is going to be a cruise job to a championship?
No, I think that's the one team. I think you nailed it, right? Like North Texas is the only other AAC team that's even in the top 100 of all these computer rankings, right? Defensively, that team's elite. That's a team that came within 4 points of Memphis in FedEx Forum here in January. So if there's anybody that's going to stop the Tigers from taking home another trophy, it's going to be North Texas. I don't think anybody else is going to be a real threat, right? Even with Wichita State having already done it once, having already beaten Memphis once.
You are not concerned at all about UAB?
It's hard to be, right? After what we've seen twice, with Memphis beating about 23 in the first game, and the second game being obviously competitive, but the Tigers kind of getting it done down the stretch. I know it's hard to beat a team 3 times, they say, which is true, but I just think, the Tigers just have more talent, and UAB struggles to guard. And with the offensive weapons Memphis has, with UAB's defensive woes, it's hard to see the Blazers kind of knocking them off on this stage.
So you would say, for the Tigers' purposes, it would be better if UAB were to beat North Texas in that semifinal game?
Correct. I think so. Just because of matchups, yes.
Yeah, and look, I'm with you with UAB. I thought UAB would win one of the 2 matchups. I was wrong. Memphis has taken them behind the woodshed both times. AK doesn't have an answer right now. Will he in a third meeting? Maybe, but it's hard to say, I'd be really concerned. But that whole 3 times in a year thing, I mean, we saw it last night in the WCC final. Gonzaga had lost twice to St. Mary's, and then they're in the conference tournament championship game, and of course Gonzaga wins. So that, there's something to that. It doesn't always mean that team who won the first 2 loses the third one, but that's a little bit concerning. But I would think North Texas is the one to be concerned about the most. How about could they possibly meet? I don't have a bracket in front of me. Could they possibly meet Temple? Is there any? Could they meet Temple in the semis?
I'm looking at it right now. Not in the semis, right? So if Memphis wins on Friday at noon, which would be the quarterfinal game, they have double byes, right? Memphis does. Memphis would then play the winner of Wichita State and South Florida, of course, in the or that'd be the quarterfinal, but in the semifinals,
their first game.
Yes, correct. So I'm sorry. So the semifinal, they'd play the winner of either Tulane or
Florida
Atlantic
or Charlotte
or Rice or Charlotte. Yeah. So no, they cannot meat Temple in the semifinals.
So it would have to be a championship unless they're on that side of the bracket. Either way, the only
correct. Temple would have to make a kind of a Cinderella-ish run to the AAC title game.
And the only reason
they did that last year.
Yeah, and the only reason I'm bringing that up is because they lost to them. Like Eli said, I completely forgot about that last year. But this year, having lost to them in Philadelphia and having played a stinker, is Mashburn still out? Do you know?
I believe he's still out. He's still out.
That's crippled them since his injury. Okay, so you don't expect too many issues. I would imagine you expect them to cut down the nets for a second time. So what is your thoughts on the dance? If they take care of business, what are you expecting from the committee?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because right now you've got such a wide range of projections.
Right.
With a 31-game sample size, you don't really see this. You see maybe 1 or 2 seed line differences in teams, but never to this extent where you've got bracket matrix having ranges anywhere from, a 5 seed, only a few people, but 5 seed in certain cases, and then a 9 seed in other cases. That's pretty broad there. But man, there's people saying that even if they win, they'll be stuck in the 8-9 game. I don't see that. How can a how can a double conference champion, I know it's the AAC, but still a double conference champion, regular season and conference tournament champion, with that many wins, with that many quad one wins,
right,
be placed in the 8-9 game. I just don't see that happening. So I think if they win 3 games in 3 days and cut nets on Sunday, they'll be a 6, I think. I mean, I'd feel confident about that. 6, if not 7. Worst case would be 7. I just don't see the 8-9 thing happening if you win these next 3. Now, if they lose any game, right, especially if they lose Friday, I think if they lose Friday, they're a 9 seed, in my opinion.
Well, it's crippling if they lose the game. But to your point, Jerry Palm was on with us last hour, and he still has them as a 6. And it's not like Jerry has perfect predictions every year. He or Lenardi or any of those guys, DeCourcy. But I don't think he's going to miss that bad. So I think Memphis as a 6 or a 7, definitely not in the 8-9 game right now, and if they win this tournament. If they lose, things could happen. And Jerry also has been very consistent in saying that they will be underseeded. This is certainly a team, along with Gonzaga, but Gonzaga's on the flip side. They're getting all the love from the metrics and not from their resume, having not had all these quality wins.
Yep.
And, in fact, Jerry said the win over St. Mary's last night may be the only tournament team that they will have beaten. There's a few on the bubble right now, but it may be the only one they will have beaten going into the NCAA tournament. So they're the opposite of Memphis. Memphis is not loved by the metrics, and they have the great resume. When you see what the committee decides on those two teams, that will give you a better understanding of what they use more of for criteria.
No, for sure. Because to your point, Gonzaga's played quality opponents in the non-conference. Right? They played Baylor and beat Baylor.
But they're a bubble team.
Played UConn. But, Baylor's a bubble team, and the teams that Gonzaga did play that are surefire tournament teams, they lost to.
Exactly.
Right? Like the Kentuckys, the UConns, and so on and so forth, St. Mary's.
That should mean something. I mean, that should mean a lot.
No.
And it's not a rip. It's not a rip on Gonzaga. I mean, they earned their way. They won the tournament last night. They were getting in either way. But what it to me it does is it takes away from what Memphis did in the non-conference, what they did early in the season. If you sit there and watch them get an 8 or a 9 and play in a 50-50 coin flip game, and then have to play, you would play the 1. I mean, come on.
I mean, what 1 seed, on the flip side of that, what 1 seed wants to see, Memphis, right, lined up in the second round? Like, what kind of reward is
that's
that?
That's a great point.
If you're
that's
freaking
a great
Duke.
point, Parth.
It's ridiculous.
It's
all
unfair to them, too. Yeah, you're right.
And certainly from making sure avoid losses, you going back to the whole thing of where you'd rather see, you said you'd rather see UAB than North Texas. And it's not going to make a big difference at this point, but playing North Texas at least is the best win they can get. That's the only quad 2 win they can get in this entire tournament.
That is true.
Everything else is quad 3 or quad 4. So if you're looking for the best possible win, it's better to play North Texas in a championship game.
I just don't know if it matter, right? At that point, the championship game tips off at 2:15 p.m.
One of 31 games, it's a little different at this point.
No, and I mean, I'm talking about kind of how late it is, right? In terms of 2:15 Central tip-off for the championship game on Sunday. I think the Selection Sunday shows, 6:30? Like, is that going to, by the time the AAC title game goes final, you'll have less than an hour, or maybe a little bit over an hour, something like that, until the bracket's revealed? Like, is that going to make a difference?
See,
or
I
will
don't
it all
think
be
so,
said
but,
and done by then? I don't
apparently
know.
they're going to have 8,000 different scenarios all printed out from the computer, so...
Jeez. That's crazy.
And I'm kidding around, but I mean
I know.
I'm with you. I'm like, I don't think it makes a hill of beans a difference in that game on Sunday. I really, but it's a very good point by Eli.
I mean, again, Memphis, a quad 2 win. It just doesn't matter. Again, it doesn't matter that it's played Sunday. It literally doesn't matter when this game's played. But
I think so.
Whether it's played Saturday or Friday, it's one quad 2 win out of 34 games. It's not going to have that big of a deal. But if you're looking for making the resume as good as possible, North Texas is the only one that even has it's a quad 2 game, let alone quad 1.
Well, to your point, if it's not going to make a hill of beans because it's 1 of 34, I would rather them avoid North Texas. But if it was something that would really help them, that maybe they would secure a certain seed or even move up a bit, which is probably impossible, then I would say, yeah, you want to play North Texas. You know what I'm saying? It's why if it's not going to help you, why would you want to play the team that probably will give you the biggest battle? Right,
I mean,
Parth?
as a basketball fan, I want to see that North Texas game for sure.
Well,
you know?
yeah, but as a purist, but as for Tigers fans,
Right.
you don't want to have a
for
team
sure.
that you think that, well, maybe we can lose.
Maybe
to them.
they can knock us off. Yeah, exactly.
So that
exactly.
but look, just go out there, whoever the hell you're playing, take care of business, keep it rolling. You're playing really good basketball, and then we'll see what happens on Sunday. But I got a feeling we're going to be doing a lot of complaining on Monday.
You think so?
Yeah, I have a feeling that they're probably going to get a screw job here. But to me, I'm with Jerry. They win this thing. As you pointed out, you win the regular season title, you win the conference championship, tournament championship. I know it's a bad conference. It doesn't mean you're bad, though. Just because you're associated with the conference. It's like what's happened to Gonzaga for all those years. Now, Memphis they don't want to be here, but they are where they are. And all they can do is take care of business. So hopefully it's earned them at least a 6 seed. I don't think they'll get to a 5. But a 6, even though Penny Hardaway says
gonna be tough.
Penny thinks they're a 5. He doesn't say that they'll be there, but he says that they deserve it if they win the rest of their games, win the conference tournament title. He said it on our show last week.
Yeah, on your show, yep.
That they're a 5. I think that's a good argument, but I don't think that would happen. A 6, okay, that's understandable. But if they are somehow a 7 or worse, an 8 or a 9,
after winning this thing, oh my gosh, can you imagine the outrage? Yeah.
Right. So that's why I have a feeling Monday's going to be really interesting. Well, listen, safe travels down there for your drive. Hopefully you're staying a few days. Make sure you have a few extra clothes. I think Memphis will be in the championship game on Sunday. He's Parth Upadhyay. He is the Memphis Tigers basketball beat writer for the Daily Memphian. Follow him on Twitter at PUPADHYAYA_. He's Parth Upadhyay. He joins us every single Wednesday right here on Sports 56 Mornings. Thank you, Parth.
Hey, thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Well, this week, when you're talking wall-to-wall basketball, you can't ask for any more today. The first game tips off at 10:30 Central Time. Last game tips off at 10:30 Central Time.
Wow.
So you've got a full 12 hours of tip-off times. Same thing tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Basketball action wall to wall. And, of course, to watch it all, head on over to East Coast Wings and Grill. You can enjoy some great food, whether it be for lunch while watching games or dinner, or better yet, happy hour. You can enjoy happy hour 3:30 to 6:30, Monday through Friday. They have happy hour, 2 for $1 on their draft beers, which is an unbelievable deal that you're not going to beat, plus other specials that you can take advantage of. And right now, again, during that time, you got all kinds of basketball games on to watch. So it is a fun time, great time to be over there at East Coast Wings and Grill. In Bartlett, Wolf Chase there, just off Highway 64, right between the Lowe's and Walmart at Wolf Chase. Kate Hyde Boulevard runs right between the two of them, and that's where you'll find East Coast Wings and Grill. 60 different flavors of wings, 24 draft beers on tap, plenty of other great food. They've got the rewards program where you can earn rewards for every $1 that you spend. Make sure you get a rewards card when you're over there as well. East Coast Wings and Grill.
You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sis, did you get your W-2 yet?
Yes, I did.
Well, last year when I told you to file early to get your refund quick?
Yes, I remember.
Well, go ahead and call now, and you can get your refund fast.
Thanks. That's why I love you. Always looking out for your little sis.
To get your taxes filed quick and get your refund fast, go to Brenton Tax Service, located in Midtown Memphis on Madison Avenue. We may not be related to you, but at Brenton Tax Service, we protect you like family.
Progressive knows owning a home can be hard, but not always. Like when you're relaxing on your patio, enjoying a nice, quiet evening. So quiet. Except for the sound of the neighbor's party. Which you said you'd go to if you weren't busy. And you're quiet right on the patio. That's not exactly busy, is it? Maybe you should just stay inside. At least Progressive's Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance is the easiest part of owning a home. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
All aboard, football fans! The Memphis Showboats are back in action with more of the football you love. Join the Showboats at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium March 30th for the opening weekend of the 2025 UFL season as the Boats take on the Michigan Panthers. Kickoff is 11 a.m. Head to UFLShowboats.com now to get your tickets and get more of the touchdown celebrating, high-fiving, bell-ringing action you love. That's UFLShowboats.com. Go Boats!
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56.
Speaking of the Boats, did you see where they cut Quentin Dormady the other day? Former one-time Tennessee Volunteer. So who have they added to the quarterback room?
They just picked up, oh gosh, I'm going to draw. I can't not come up with the name.
No problem.
UT Martin. He played at UT Martin, but they added a quarterback.
Okay.
Quentin Dormady saying he got the reason he got released from the league is his. He's one of the leaders in the negotiations from the union and the league, and his stance on that. That's what he did an interview. I think it was with somebody. I think ESPN, somebody from ESPN, and he said that he got released because of his fight and that fight that's going on between the union and the league.
Like a payback thing. Aaron Torres, friend of the show, he tweets out, if UCLA wins the Big Ten tournament title, be prepared for Mick Cronin to become the first coach to ever complain about winning a league title. Whining about tip time and travel back to the West Coast. It's 1,000% happening. I love that. We went over some of the odds earlier in the show.
Dresser Win.
Huh?
Dresser Win.
That's the guy's name, Dresser Win?
Yep.
Okay. Some of the games of note today that have a lot of significance as far as bubble games, and then we got some championship games as well. 3 bids will be on the line. The Southland, you got McNeese State and Lamar. You talked about this earlier. McNeese, a 13.5-point favorite. Navy and American. Win one for Pete, Navy. 4.5. American is the favorite. 4.5. And the Big Sky Championship. 2 teams that rolled yesterday in their semis. Montana, the 2 seed. Northern Colorado, the 1 seed. And Northern Colorado is a 2.5-point favorite to advance to the NCAA tournament. Some of the bubble games of note today. Arkansas, which will tip off at noon from Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. 4.5-point favorite over South Carolina in the SEC tournament. North Carolina, a 10.5-point favorite over Notre Dame. Where's North Carolina in Jerry's bracket right now?
I believe the first 4 out.
Okay.
I think.
I would bet, Elijah, what do you think about this one? I would bet my life savings that North Carolina somehow is in the field.
I've got a funny feeling that will happen as well.
He's got both, if I remember correctly, let me do it. I think he's got both them and Wake Forest among maybe not first 4, and they would, if they beat Notre Dame, they would play Wake Forest.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got both them and Wake both in his first 4 out.
I think Carolina will somehow wiggle their way into the tournament. Wake Forest, of course, friend of the show, Steve Forbes, their head coach. Texas and Vanderbilt, another bubble game. That's Vanderbilt by 2.5, according to Vegas. Ohio State, 5.5 over Iowa in the Big Ten tournament. Another bubble game, Baylor and Kansas State. Baylor, 6.5-point favorite over K-State. And Oklahoma and Georgia also in the SEC tournament. Georgia, a 3.5-point favorite. So a bubble-licious day, if you will, around the nation.
The fact that Wake Forest is still like even on people's like radar, it's about like first 4 out, tells you how bad the bubble is. Like Wake Forest should have been dead a long time ago.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. Yet, it was Brett Yormark, who we talked about earlier in the show, who wants the NCAA tournament field to expand to 76. We don't need more teams. It's perfect the way it is. You have your Cinderellas. You have your powers. The SEC is going to get a ton of teams in. Yet, St. Francis of Pennsylvania gets into the tournament by virtue of winning the Northeast Conference. That's what I love. I love the fact that you have these little guys doing what they do. And hopefully that will continue. Now, you're talking about the bigger conferences, and there's not really too many little guys left. Unless you look at the American, and we certainly don't want to see somebody upset Memphis. I don't think anybody wants to see that, unless you're a Memphis hater. But for the A10 and some of these other conferences, yeah, it might be a surprise. But there's also the possibility of somebody coming out of the Big Ten that right now is on the outside looking in, coming out of the Big 12 that's on the outside looking in. The SEC, it would only be those bottom two teams, LSU and South Carolina. But it doesn't mean that they're both not pretty solid teams. The record would say different when you look at the conference record, but that's because they got beat up within that mega conference that has been absolutely dominant this season. Once again, tomorrow, we are loaded for bear. We got a lot of tournament action to talk about. We'll recap the Grizzlies and the Jazz who played tonight. Tim Pernetti, the commissioner of the Americans, scheduled to join us at 8:05. Kerry Miller from Bleacher Report with his latest bracket, 8:25, or Bracketology. DeMichael Cole usually joins us on Wednesday. He'll join us tomorrow to recap the Grizzlies. And then speaking of the Grizzlies, the grindfather himself, Tony Allen, is scheduled to join us at 9:30 tomorrow. We want to thank our guests today, Jerry Palm, Drew Hill, Parth Upadhyay. If you miss any of our guests anytime on any of these shows, all you have to do is go to the website, sportsmemphis.com. Check out the podcast of each show. We break it down hourly. Some of these interviews we post under featured audio, so you can listen at your leisure. Wello and Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next, so stay tuned for that. Dave getting ready to head out with the Tigers to Fort Worth, Texas. For Eli Savoy and for Elijah Seegers, I'm Greg Gaston. Enjoy your hump day, everybody.